Automobile dealers.
The number 2 seed in the West, the Indiana Hoosiers, take on an upshot team from Fairfax, Virginia, a double overtime winner in the Colonial Athletic Association tournament, George Mason. The Patriots want more than just a one-night stand. Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins, along with Bruce Larson. Well, the Hoosiers, I don't think there's any question, they're a known quantity. They won the Big Ten championships. But, Bruce, what about George Mason? This is a team, and talking to the players and coaches, they don't want this to be here today and gone tomorrow. They want to go on. They think they can win this game.
Well, I think you're right, Barry, and they've had a good precedent set last year when Richmond from the same conference came in, dictated the tempo, shot well, and was able to beat Indiana in the first round.
Well, they are led by an undersized front court player who just happens to play pretty big.
He's been playing big all year. Rebounds a game at 6'5", 23 points a game. Indiana has a history defensively of taking good players out of the ball game. Can they do that with Sanders today?
All right, well, George Mason, of course, if they're going to take a good player out of the ball game, they might have to look to Jay Edwards. He's a darn good player, and one that Bobby Knight is very, very high on.
Well, the second-team All-American, All-Big Ten first team. We know about his great shooting reputation at 6'4", but he's got another quality. He's a great passer, and he gets about 4 assists a game, so he knows how to set up his teammates, even though the offense is dictated to him.
Indiana, of course, they've got an awfully long bench. They are deep from top to bottom. George Mason, they want a half-court game, preferably a low-scoring game. We'll be back with the introduction of the starting lineups after this.
Slice of pizza?
Me too. Nothing's better than a fresh, hot Pizza Hut pizza, and nothing's worse than not having enough. With loads of your favorite toppings and 2 layers of cheese, one's never enough.
Ready for the second pizza?
Pizza Hut, making it great.
For information on Final Four Highlights videos, write to NCAA Productions, Post Office Box 1906, Mission, Kansas 66201, or call 913-384-3220.
They're on their way, and we want to wish the Indiana Hoosiers the very best in the NCAA tournament. Good luck, Hoosiers, as you travel on the road to the Final Four. From WHAS-TV.
So it's the Hoosiers of Indiana, the George Mason Patriots out of Fairfax, Virginia. Tall task, I think it's fair to say, for George Mason, but Bobby Knight, of course, with a long memory about the Colonial Athletic Association, his team losing last year to Richmond out of that same conference. Will lightning strike twice? We'll find out in just a couple hours. Let's meet these players with Roger Settlemeyer. Roger?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to McHale Center for this first-round NCAA game between the Indiana Hoosiers and the George Mason Patriots. Here are the starting lineups. For the Patriots at 1 forward, number 5, a senior, 6'5", from Washington, D.C., Kenny Sanders. At a forward for the Hoosiers, number 32, a freshman, 6'9", from Chicago, Illinois, Eric Anderson. At a 4'47", Youngstown, Ohio, Robert Dykes. At a forward for the Hoosiers, number 44, a senior, 6'2", from Glendale, California, Joe Hillman. At center from the Patriots, number 44, a junior, 6'4", Cincinnati, Ohio, Chuck Brodnax. At center for the Hoosiers, a senior 6'9", from Salina, Kansas, number 11, Todd Jedlow. At one guard for the Patriots, number 11, a junior 6'3", from Silver Springs, Maryland, Steve Smith. At a guard from the Hoosiers, number 3, a sophomore, 6'4", Marion, Indiana, Jay Edwards. A guard from the Patriots, number 22, a freshman, 5'10", Richmond, Virginia, Mike Hargett. Finally, a guard from the Hoosiers, number 4, a sophomore, 6'1", Marion, Indiana, Lyndon Jones. A coach of the George Mason Patriots, Ernie Nestor. And the coach of the Indiana Hoosiers, Bobby Knight.
Mixed reaction to the general. Ernie Nestor, of course, in his first year at George Mason, and will return for the opening tip-off after these messages.
My father drove a Starship, so it's only natural I'd fly around in something space-age. My new Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, totally redesigned for the future. It's powered by a fuel-injected V6, monitored by an onboard computer. I guess some things were just meant for the next generation. Ready, Dad?
I'm ready. You ready?
I'm ready.
Steady as she goes.
This is the new generation. Cross the road, cross the road.
There's only one place for that original recipe taste.
Cross the road, cross the road.
Come visit the Colonel.
Cross the road to Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Dive into original recipe chicken. Pick up some Kentucky nuggets. Take a big bite of a Chicken Little sandwich. They all have the Colonel's secret blend of 11 herbs and spices. For that one and only taste, there's only one side of the road.
Cross the road to Kentucky Fried Chicken, yeah. Cross the road, cross the road.
So it's George Mason in Indiana here at the McHale Center in Tucson. Let's take a look at the officials in this ball game. Actually come from all over the land. Dan Crispin, Tom O'Neill, and Nate Humphrey. And we are set to go as jumping center will be Jadlow and Dykes. Dykes, an interesting story. He's 24 years old, spent 4 years in the Navy after high school, and he was discovered by the George Mason coaching staff as a dental technician at Bethesda Naval Air Station.
And he's got a bad knee. They're going to operate it on when the season's over, so he's really not playing at full speed.
Jadlow on the baseline, out of bounds. It'll be the Patriots' ball.
Well, right away, Indiana goes inside, and they had it open for an easy layup, but the pass was a little long.
You won't see Indiana make a lot of fundamental mistakes like that. George Mason wants to play at the half court, and Ernie Nestor said they simply have to shoot the ball well outside if they're going to have any chance in this ball game. Smith with the jumper, short with the first shot. Edwards comes down with it for the Hoosiers. All the way to the baseline with a jumper, blocked nicely by Smith, but it comes right back to Anderson. And a foul. Count the basket, and Anderson will go to the line. Hoosiers with a break there, Bruce.
Boy, that's a great player right there. The freshman of the year in the Big Ten. That's the second player. Edwards was a freshman of the year. Edwards doesn't get his shot blocked very often. He's 6'4", has great extension. But there you see Smith, who's a great leaper, got his hand on it. A great follow by Eric Anderson, 6'9", out of Chicago, the player of the year in Illinois. Good-looking freshman.
Voted the Chicago Amateur Athlete of the Year when he was still in high school. Everybody takes in a lot of company. Broadnax with a jumper. It's short. The rebound comes down to Sanders. Sanders, great rebounder, plays well inside, and a nice reverse layup.
Well, Early's 6'5", and he's really probably a better offensive rebounder than he is defense at 6'5". Both teams man-to-man to start with.
Edwards to the baseline. Smith bumps him.
Edwards can take the ball to the basket. He can pull up and shoot it. He can set and shoot it. He's just got everything you look for in the off guard. Handles the ball well enough. He could probably play a point guard. But, Indiana making an early change in the season and going to 3 guards.
Hillman all the way to the basket. A little short with a layup, but it traveled before he ever got there. Bobby Knight calls Joe Hillman his most valuable player. He just means that he makes everybody else out there a better basketball player. Almost every team has somebody like that. He is really the glue. Baseball player, and look for him one of these days in an Oakland A's uniform. As a matter of fact, the A's were playing here in Tucson today, and there are a number of them in the stands. Some of the people he played in the instructional league with. Rejection by Edwards underneath.
Boy, you see the good quickness of Mike Hargett, and he probably is the key for George Mason. He needs to shoot well outside, and he needs to keep from turning the ball over. There's a good move to the basket. Edwards comes over and makes the block.
This is Smith. Dykes way away from the basket. Broadnax posts up. Now Hargett. Real battle going on underneath between Anderson and Dykes. Turnaround jumper Dykes. Anderson got a piece of it, but got Dykes for the body.
Both teams are inside oriented, and you'd have to say guard oriented. The key to their success are their guards. Good inside pass. Anderson with his first foul.
Robert Dykes goes to the free throw line. Averaged just over 10 points a game during George Mason's season. Hits that one off the back iron.
There's a 77% free throw shooter. That's very good, and he's 57% from the field, so that indicates they get the ball into him in that inside area.
Again, two teams who shoot it pretty well at the free throw line as a team. Tied at 3, just underway.
Well, those first 5 out there for Indiana all shoot 70% or better.
Indiana will work off the screens. There's Edwards all alone for the jumper.
Great outside shooter. I like the arch that he puts on the basketball, which helps it get it over those bigger people.
Dykes gets into the lane with a jumper, threw up a brick. Edwards the rebound.
Indiana probably a more transition team than...
Edwards over and off with that, but the rebound down to Jadloff.
Those are two big, strong bodies under the board, and you notice where they both are, on the blocks when Edwards shoots.
Jadloff playing with a chronic right ankle. Smith, the standing jumper, it's short. And a rebound, Dykes is going to be called over the back of Jones. There's a look at Ernie Nestor, first-year coach here at George Mason. He's been in some fast company, was an assistant to Lou Campanelli at California. Take another look at that last sequence.
Well, there Edwards moved the shot around, not really a great shot, but he got it up on the board, and that's what he's trying to do. It's really a pass. Jadlow and Eric Anderson need to know where that pass is, at the basket.
And a foul called this time on Mike Hargett as he tried to snatch the ball away from Lyndon Jones. So George Mason with 3 fast team fouls here in the first 2.5 minutes.
I think Indiana started a series, their offensive series that they're running now, when Steve Alford was there, and they just do a lot of screening for Edwards. They're always bumping people and running into them. Screens all over the place.
It's the way they like to play. Edwards doesn't need them. Anderson, little turnarounder in the lane. McNamara, incidentally, has come on. Dykes sits for the Patriots. 9-3 ball game, Indiana by 6. George Mason's going to have to get it together quickly. Hoosiers out of the block quickly. They lead it by 6. Broadnax misses a jumper, and we've got another foul. And George Mason quickly getting itself in foul trouble here.
Well, they've been going to the offensive board very well, but there's some big people they have to get over the top of. Anderson and Jadlow at 6'9" each, and one 230 and the other 215. Nice basketball bodies.
And again, we'll watch how they screen. Perfect screen right there. Jadlow for Hillman. Underneath, what a pass. Edwards to Jadlow for 2. Textbook stuff.
Oh, boy, and I think that's the thing that people don't really appreciate, Jay Edwards. He can pass the basketball.
Anderson comes away with it. Jadlow with a quick 4. Lyndon Jones runs that one down. Tries to get it into Anderson. Reach in foul on McNamara.
Well, Arizona fans can appreciate Jay Edwards because they've been watching a guy by the name of Sean Elliott do the same kind of things. He's 4 inches taller. Good power moves. Jadlow's been in the program 5 years, as have 5 Indiana players, so they're experienced, although not a lot of playing time. They practice every day and they know what needs to be done.
Gonna call a block foul on Smith. Looked like Edwards might have gotten a shoulder into Smith going across the paint that time.
Well, he did, and Edwards has got a nice pair of shoulders on him and can penetrate a little bit and use that muscle. And, of course, in the Big Ten, they play very physical.
Ernie Nestor, you saw with that incredulous look, and why not? His team has just picked up its 7th team foul, so it's going from bad to worse for George Mason. Indiana leads it by 8, 11-3, and they will be at the free throw line for every foul from here on out. And we have only played 3 minutes and 40 seconds. That's a long road for George Mason.
You're right, Barry, and in fighting through all those screens, we might see some zone from George Mason. They do play a 1-2-2.
Edwards is short, and that will not happen very much. He's a 90% free throw shooter.
In fact, last year he shot 90. Not quite as good this year.
Hargett outside with a jumper, nails a 3, and the Patriots sorely needed that.
Well, they do, and they feel, coaching staff felt that's the key right there. He has to hit some of those, and then on the defensive end or offensive end of the court, he has to keep from turning it over.
Hillman got the baseline. They just gave it to him. He said, thank you very much.
Well, they didn't really know whether to switch or they got it mixed up in their defensive assignment. All those screens.
Smith, the jumper from the corner, a little bit short. Jadlaw, the rebound. Here's Hillman open for the jumper.
And Indiana changed after their first 5 ball. They were 3-4 to start the season, their first 7 games, and then took Sloan out of the starting lineup and added Jones and Hillman and Edwards in a 3-guard offense that was very effective for them late last year. And it's been very, very effective. 3 great shooters on the perimeter.
Another turnover. Here comes Edwards. Ahead it goes to Hillman. Catches up with it, takes it to the basket. Can't quite get it. A little too far under. Jones follows. It won't go. Anderson follows. It won't go. And Sanders comes out with it for the Patriots. They try to run. In the corner, Hargett takes the jumper. And Hillman was hurt. Might have cut himself or lost the contact. I think that's what it is.
It looks like it. Yeah, that was 2 outside now for Hargett. And again, that's the key to the game for them.
Timeout on the floor. 14:54 remaining to be played in the half. It's been all Hoosiers. They lead it 15-8.
Being neutral, the Swiss enjoy the best of all worlds. Cars from Italy. Clothes from Paris. Shoes from England. And from America, Old Spice Liquid Stick. A new antiperspirant. With the smoothness of a roll-on and the speed of a stick, it also combines the best of all worlds for total protection. After all, nothing's more important to the Swiss than good relations. Old Spice Liquid Stick, the world's most advanced form of protection.
The new Buick Riviera. It's a classic all over again.
The road has been waiting, you're anticipating the spirit you felt way back when. Riviera is back,
A classic again.
it's a legend once more, what the road's waited for. Riviera, a classic returns. Oh, the great American road belongs to Buick.
Now this Public Service Indiana billboard's going to save lives.
But it doesn't say power lines carry thousands of volts that can injure or kill.
It doesn't need to.
And it doesn't say that power lines aren't insulated like appliance cords.
And where does it talk about the danger from down power lines?
I believe that's understood.
Well, then exactly how is it going to save lives?
Very simply.
Well, here's the score that falls into the category of who to thunk it. Georgetown wins it by 1 over Princeton. Princeton was ahead 8 at the half. They were ahead 1 with 4 minutes to play. And as we understand it, Georgetown won with a last-second free throw. How do you like that one?
You're in this tournament, you can play basketball, and if you can dictate the tempo and keep the other team from playing a lot of offense and keep Georgetown playing defense, that shows what can happen.
Princeton did just that, controlled the tempo. Hillman traveled. And we've seen a lot of that, a lot of almost teams, actually. East Tennessee State, almost with Oklahoma. Princeton, almost with Georgetown. Southwest Missouri State, a game you and I saw a little bit earlier, almost wins that ball game. Been a lot of that. And then there have been more than almost. There have been a number of upsets earlier in this tournament.
There's Kenny Sanders, the great player of the year in that Colonial Athletic Association Conference.
Jadlow is guilty of the foul.
Indiana sinks their defense pretty deep into the paint, but boy, they contest everything.
Smith with a jumper, three-pointer.
Both guards have contributed now. That's a key factor for George Mason. Smith and Target.
Anderson looks into Jadlow and then brings it around. Now Edwards. Edwards gives it up to Hillman in a corner. Can't quite get it to go. Jones runs down the rebound to Jadlow, down low, and the shot is deflected. Jones gets it back. He travels. And the Patriots suddenly creeping back into this ballgame.
That's been 3 travel calls on Indiana. In fact, it cost Hillman 2 baskets. Now on the shot he didn't travel, he missed it.
Smith outside, looks in. McNamara surrounded. Runs the ball down, kicks it back out to Smith. Remember, Ernie Nestor feels that his team has to shoot it from the perimeter and shoot it well to win the game. And in the last couple of minutes, they have been doing that.
Outside perimeter, and here's a guy that's really been tough for them.
Target penetrates, drew the foul.
Very quick. He's a freshman, and he's had a chance to develop. Hits 44% from the field, 41% from the three-point area. 35 three-point shots.
He's not only developing, he was a number 2 guard. He was an off guard in high school. So not only is he a freshman, but he's come in here and had to learn to play a new position. They look to shoot that ball outside, no question about it.
And Hargan's shown that he can penetrate.
Smith, who's had the hot hand. McNamara getting a lot of playing time. Dykes on the bench early. Sanders, they surround him. Gives it up for Broadnax, who nails it.
Perimeter shooting's been good. Broadnax has a reputation as a shooter. He's just been in the starting lineup the last 2 weeks, and the reason he's in there is for his outside shooting.
Edwards kicks it into Jadlow. Jadlow off balance, drew the foul on Sanders.
Big, strong body, and that's kind of a tough mismatch now for Sanders, who's 6'5", covering Jadlow right in the paint. 6'9", 230 over 6'5", and 220.
Jamal Meeks comes on for Indiana, and so does Cree Smith.
Cree Smith's been hurt. He hasn't been playing a lot. Sloan's been playing ahead of him. But he's been in the program 5 years. Meeks is an outstanding freshman. Very, very quick.
And Meeks got a start in that game that Bobby Knight sat his 4 starters against Iowa and came up very big. He had 10 assists in his first start, that against Iowa.
He's really helped this basketball team.
But the Hoosiers got blown out in that game.
What they were trying to do is establish some depth, and they've been playing about 7 players. They'd like to play more than that.
Edwards gives it up for Smith. Inside it goes to Anderson. Turnaround jumper. Credit Jay Edwards with that. Another great pass.
You're right, Barry. He's really done a job. They're really playing him tight, which helps the passing lanes, and he's taking advantage of it.
Well, you talk about guys who make other players better. Jay Edwards does not look like a sophomore. And I think your comparison is fair with Sean Elliott here at Arizona. I've done 1,000 of his games over his career, and they really are similar.
Just think the contribution he made last year as a freshman. He averaged 15 points. He's averaging 20 this year.
Henry Adams, who gives the Patriots some size, and Sanders nails a 3. Adams is on at 6'11", beg your pardon, Bruce.
Well, he is, and they didn't think he'd play much. He's a young player, redshirted him.
Let me correct myself. I called him Adams, and I had written down Adams. Abrams is his name, Henry Abrams, not Henry Adams. Broadnax tries a 3. He got it 4 out of 5 from 3-point range. Nestor says they have to shoot it outside. They're shooting it outside.
Have they ever. Play defense and shoot the ball well.
And we are tied at 19. Deja vu. Loose ball picked up by Meeks. Nice pass to Anderson, fouled by Abrams.
Well, George Mason is a better defensive team maybe than people give them credit for. They led their league And defensive shooting against a percentage shot. Meeks, great steal. Tough pass. They've still created a lot of fouls, and of course that big size that Indiana has inside, and I'm sure that's why Abrams is getting some playing time here to help spread the fouls around.
Abrams has only played basketball for 4 years. Ernie considers him to be a project player. He thinks at some point he may be, but he is very, very inexperienced.
I watched him in practice, and he has great extension on his shot, nice big hands.
Anderson converts both free throws, no surprise there.
Boy, what a freshman. 71% shooter from the line, 53% shooter from the field. Looks mobile.
Hoosiers by 2. George Mason has crept back into this game. Remember, they had their 7th team foul just 3 minutes and change into the ball game. Meeks on the floor fights for the loose ball, but it's controlled by Smith. Back to Hargan. He tries a 3 over on. And I think that's going to go against Smith over the top.
Well, that's one of the great characteristics of Kenny Sanders. Watch him now. He has inside position. That's why he's such a good offensive rebounder, even though he's only 6'5". Look at him slide in there. He's inside. And Smith, that's really the only chance of saving 2 is to get over his back. And we indicated at the top of the show that he's maybe a better offensive rebounder than he is a defensive board man at 6'5".
Earl Moore has come on now, wearing number 10 for George Mason. He may be the quickest player on the Patriots team, so he will give him some quickness, especially on a defensive end. Sanders sticks one.
That's 2 3-pointers for him. The scouting report we get is he's not that good a shooter on the perimeter.
That was a 2-point shot. They say his foot was on the line.
Uh-oh. All right, I'll take it away from him.
Anderson leans in nicely, got right around Abrams that time, and there's a case of inexperience.
Well, I think you're right, Barry. He just kind of held his ground.
Sanders had to get that one up over Jadlow and missed everything. Edwards will take the 3. Got it.
Well, that might have been a 3 in the pro game.
What a touch.
It's amazing the arch he puts on that shot.
Now they say it's going to be Indiana's ball.
Well, the lead official here asked for help, and he got it in favor of Indiana.
So Indiana getting things under control again. Hillman comes back on for the Hoosiers. 5-point game. The Hoosiers in front, 26-21. After George Mason came back from a 7-point deficit to tie it at 19. Edwards again passing inside to Hillman. Off his foot and out of bounds, but they say that it hit Broadnax on the way out of bounds. So the Hoosiers will keep the ball when we come back. 9:53 remaining. Timeout on the court. 26-21, and we'll be back after this from your local station.
If there was ever a time the future is bright, this is the time. I'll get it. Starting tonight.
Hello, Marjorie.
Please come in.
No. Listen, I just wanted to drop off your mom and dad's first retirement check.
Oh, how thoughtful.
I'll give them a call in a day or 2, okay?
Thanks.
It's happening for a limited time only at your Kentuckiana Chevy dealer. A giant spring truckathon of over 1,800 tough Chevy trucks, like the #1 selling compact pickup in Kentuckiana, Chevy S10 from just $73.74. Or get automatic transmission at no extra charge on the #1 selling full-size truck in Kentuckiana, the full-size Chevy pickup. Don't miss this disposal sale of over 1,800 tough new Chevy trucks. See your nearest Kentuckiana Chevy dealer today. Montgomery in Louisville, Bob Smith in Louisville, Park in Jeffersonville, Broadway in Louisville.
We will rock you. We will rock you.
LA Gear salutes the captain, 6-time most valuable player, the all-time leading scorer, and for an unprecedented 20th season, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I'd like to add just one footnote to my career.
We will rock you.
Well, the NCAA wants to know what you think about the three-point line. Would you like to see it remain the same, 19 feet 9 inches? If you do, then call 900-260-6301. Or would you like to see it move back to the international distance? That's 21 feet. In that case, call 260-6302. Or if you'd rather see it at the pro distance, 23 feet 4 inches, then call 260-6303. 900-260-6301, 02, or 03. Edwards misses the three-point try that time, but Hillman gets the rebound, kicks it back out to Edwards, tries it again, nails it.
Good inside strength there by Indiana. George Mason playing zone on the out-of-bounds play.
Indiana with an 11-6 rebounding edge now, and in the paint, Indiana just clobbering the Patriots. 12 points inside to only 2 for George Mason, but that is pretty much indicative of exactly what Ernie Nestor said had to happen. Edwards gets the turnover all the way to the basket, gives it to Hillman, the cutter on the wing. And again, an assist for Edwards. Great way to run a break.
But the other thing we saw at the other end who started that was Indiana's ability to drop back in the post and help. They generally play behind because their defense sinks back so far, but boy, those guards are right in there quick, and they've stirred the ball up a couple times.
Yeah, we asked Joe Hillman what the biggest thing about this team was, what made them different than any team that Bobby Knight has had in recent years, and what he said is we help out defensively. And they did right there, caused the turnover. Indiana on a 10-0 run now since the game was tied.
And they play very well together.
Sanders, after somebody fast-handed that away. Sanders floats it up, won't go. Edwards the rebound. The man is everywhere.
He's had some assists. I don't know what his board total is, but not bad.
Jadlow on the blocks. Can't get the roll. Rebound Abrams.
Some people feel Indiana isn't as strong inside as they've been in the past, but boy, this ball game they've really been in.
They have a nice chemistry on this team. Broadnax for 3, too hard off the back iron. Hillman runs it down. 2 on 3. They wait for help. Down low again to Jadlow. Looks like they could do that all day. Jadlow misses, and Abrams has the rebound again. Broadnax knocks Meeks down. Can't get the shot to go. Anderson the rebound. The officials in this game, incidentally, really letting him play.
Well, it's been up and down, too, a little bit. We didn't think it would be this kind of an up-tempo game, but George Mason got behind early. It's pretty tough to play a slow-tempo game if you're trying to catch up.
Brian Sloan and Mark Robinson come on for Bobby Knight's Hoosiers. Abrams leaves, and Dykes comes back for the Patriots. Broadnax also sits.
Well, Sloan's been in the program for 5 years. Dad played at Evansville. Evansville's in this same region. They got a big win today over Oregon State in overtime. Well, his dad was a tough player.
Danny Dean has come on for Broadnax for the Patriots, and Anderson converts at the free throw line. Looks as though the Hoosiers can jam it inside almost at will.
Well, so far they have in these first 13 minutes.
Anderson with 13 points.
About those 3 guards, you know, you kind of picture in your mind, hey, that's an offensive or an outside team, but they can do that, but they also show they can get it inside.
Smith with a 3. Too hard, and all of a sudden the ball just not falling for the Patriots, and the Hoosiers are doing everything right. This team has been better since Meeks came on at the point. Hillman for 3.
The 2 excellent outside shooters in Hillman and Edwards.
They really picked it up when Jones sat and Meeks came on. Hoosiers on a roll. They lead by 15. Back after this from your local station.
Always like a mother and a child.
Always like a handshake and a smile. Some things never change. Always.
Just as Scouts pledge to always help others, Walmart pledges to always keep a generous supply of the brands you trust in stock. Walmart, always the low price on the brands you trust. Always.
The stories of life appear daily in the Courier Journal.
When you think of copiers, think Duplicator Sales and Service, the unduplicated copier professionals.
cuts long-distance bills with lower rates.
Stop the direct dialing and collect calls.
Lets me know who's talking and how long.
AmeriCall. Business long distance.
PM Magazine. It's hot. Hot fun. Hot faces. If it's hot, it's happening on PM Magazine. Weeknights at 7:30 on WHAS TV.
A little bit of a disgruntled look on that GMU cheerleader. This telecast presented by the authority of the NCAA. Any use of this program without written consent is prohibited. The announcers for this program have been approved and contracted by NCAA Productions. Well, you can see Indiana on more than just a little bit of a run. 15 love over the last 3:30.
Boy, it's been a combination of good inside play and good perimeter shooting.
And that combined with George Mason's ineffectiveness, they have missed 5 shots in a row. They're shooting only 37%. Hargett tries a 3. Won't go. It's short. Rebound comes down, only getting 1 shot now, 2. Hillman has the rebound for the Hoosiers.
Well, Hillman got that board right in front of Dykes, who's 6'7", but he's got the bad knee, and you can see that he doesn't jump very well. Coaches are concerned about his ability to play an up-and-down kind of game.
Meeks, who stays on at the point, he's kept Jones on the bench. Backdoor this time. Robinson puts it on the floor. Traveled before he got it in.
Well, George Mason went to a zone, 2-1-2 type zone. They played some 1-2-2. But primarily they've been man-to-man, but they're unable to keep the ball out of the middle, and maybe this will help them.
Bobby Knight, a lot of reasons to smile so far today. Whooping at the officials just a little bit, keeping in line. Smith outside. Danny Dean now gives it up to Dykes, who has the easy layup. So that breaks a long string.
Dykes is averaging 10 points a game, but 7 rebounds, so he's a real factor for that.
Anderson down low, draws a crowd. Underneath, nice pass, Sloan to Robinson for the easy layup.
Mark Robinson, a great player out of the San Francisco area, teammate of Garrett, 6'10" center, who left Indiana's program last year. Real leaper, 7-foot high jumper, in fact.
City College of San Francisco, played for Brad Dugan, flamboyant coach, good friend of Bobby Knight's.
He started 4 or 5 ball games, and they felt with his quickness that would be a factor, but the 3-guard lineup has seemed to be the key for this basketball team.
And you can see the simple fact is Indiana, and as we mentioned earlier, Bruce, that it looks like they can get it inside almost any time they want. In fact, they've missed a number of shots down low.
They have. George Mason has really gotten the ball in there a few times, but Indiana's dropped back in to pick it off, much like they did right there.
Bobby Knight getting some real help off the bench. Meeks has been impressive off the bench. Robinson in his few minutes has done a good job.
Well, that's what they'd like to get, a little more playing time.
And Sloan hits one.
Give up some more depth as the tournament goes along. And still win the ball game. They'd want to do both.
Sloan, of course, son of Jerry Sloan, now the coach of the Utah Jazz. Foul called underneath, away from the ball. I think they're calling that against Meeks. No, I beg your pardon. I think they're calling it against Sanders.
Indiana just jumped. Indiana doesn't let you do a lot of things that you want to do on defense. They don't really deny passes around the perimeter, but they take away your cutting game, and when the ball goes into the post, they drop. They do some things very, very well.
Tony Nestor, as you mentioned, was an assistant in California, an assistant at Wake Forest before that. Well, 14 out of his last 15 games. So the Patriots come in here on a roll.
And Richmond, the team that beat Indiana last year, has qualified for the NIT, so they had 2 teams in postseason tournaments. So I think their conference has gained some as far as prestige is concerned.
Richmond beat the Patriots on both occasions, but George Mason had the good fortune of seeing Richmond beaten in the tournament. And they played UNC Wilmington in the final, went to double overtime before winning it by 4. Hargett behind his back into the lane, in traffic, throws up a prayer, and draws a foul on Jadlow.
Well, he was kind of out of control on that. And, probably he's fortunate that he got the foul and gets himself on the foul line.
He got himself in the air, really had no place to go, and Jadlow fouled him. Anderson will come back. Jadlow will lead. Only the second personal foul on Jadlow.
Well, I'm sure Coach Knight would like to keep him from getting 3 here in this half with the lead they have.
Hargett has the first free throw. He's going to be around for 3 more years.
Good free throw shooter. 77%.
Robinson. Inside it goes to Anderson. Kick it back out. Hillman runs it down. Edwards open for the 3. That one won't go, but Anderson has the rebound. Little pump fake, hit it off the side of the backboard. And another turnover. Broadnax just simply lost the basketball. Ahead to Robinson. In the lane, Hillman. Went right by Dykes.
Boy, he did, and he got the ball up quick. Quick shooter. He's been a factor in the Indiana program all the years he's played. He's started some last year, but tough, and he really helps the basketball team.
Friday night went all the way to Glendale to get him. Broadnax is short, rebound Sloan, outlet Hillman. Edwards open for 3. What a shooter.
Well, he catches that ball and he jumps into his shot.
Jay Edwards, to say that is impressive is really to make an understatement.
Well, I'm sure the reason Indiana's drawing the fans they have in this area, of course, Tucson, the University of Arizona, down the road, hopefully, would maybe have to play this Indiana team so they can make some comparisons if both teams continue to win and would meet in the finals of this particular region.
Would be an interesting matchup, wouldn't it? Take another look at this 3-pointer by Edwards.
Catch into the jump, set, all in one motion. Just the way you like to teach it.
Bottom of the net.
Catch the ball, ready to shoot.
And as you can see, 3-point shooting, Indiana 4 of 5. George Mason, remember they were 4 of 5, so they've missed their last 4.
And that was early in the ball game, so they need to maintain that pace, and that's pretty tough to do.
Interesting story here as you look at the George Mason band. 43 strong. They jumped in a bus 47 hours nonstop from Fairfax, Virginia, out here to the West Coast, and here they are cheering on their team.
And the Patriot came with it.
He did. Tall Patriot, one of the taller Patriots. Wonder if he's got any eligibility left. You know, speaking of which, I was talking to the sports information director at George Mason yesterday. I was asking about George Mason, who George Mason was, and he said, well, George Mason really was George Washington's right hand. As a matter of fact, he in large part was the author of the Bill of Rights. He said, you might think of it this way. George Mason was George Washington's sports information director. Well, in the last 7 minutes, Indiana has outscored George Mason 25-4. The score was tied at 21 since that time, 25-4. There's Bobby Knight. Bobby in a very relaxed mood when we chatted yesterday. Has a lot of confidence in this team, and I have the idea, I'm really sort of reading between the lines, but have the idea that he really likes this team very much.
I think the Indiana people really like it because, you know, when you've got a team that's expected to win the Big Ten or go a distance in the national tournament, every game's a big game and pressure. Here's a team that wasn't expected to do a lot. They were picked 7th in the conference, so it's been enjoyable. You know, they just play relaxed and keep winning.
Hargett tries a 3 over and off. Rebound down to Edwards. Here come the Hoosiers. Outside for the jumper this time. It's Smith who nails it. That's a 2.
Well, he's got a reputation as a good outside shooter. 6'7", been in the program those 5 years, as we indicated. He and Sloan.
You know, one of the things just to talk about Jay Edwards for a moment again, traveling violation, another turnover for the Patriots. It just seems more and more the great players are not only great shooters, but they're great passers. And you mentioned Sean Elliott, great passer in addition to being a great shooter. Danny Ferry, great passer in addition to being a great shooter. And Jay Edwards seems to have those same skills.
I think as you look at the players of the year in the United States and the great players, the characteristics that you talked about, Barry, are very important. And the good players bring out the best in their teammates. They make everybody else better.
Robinson, who's had a lot of minutes off the bench for Bobby Knight in this game. Hillman underneath to a wide-open Lyndon Jones.
Lyndon Jones and Jay Edwards played on the same high school team, co-players of the year in Indiana. Amazing.
Marion, Indiana won the state championship back-to-back, and that's almost impossible. Foul is called on Brian Sloan. We'll come up and have a little chat with Bobby Knight. Bobby incidentally says that he divides Indiana's season into 3 parts. You got the preseason, that is getting ready to play the Big Ten Conference. Then you have the conference season, and then you have the postseason. And you evaluate after each of those 3 stages. And I asked him yesterday if this team really had exceeded even his own expectations, and he said no. He said, I knew on December 15th that we had a very good team. He had the date. Surprised he didn't give me the time. He knew that he was going to be here.
Well, the other Big Ten coaches didn't feel that way.
No, they picked them 7th.
They play the great defense, complement themselves with some great outside shooting, and I think they're getting better inside as the season progresses.
Bobby Knight's teams have always seemed to peak at tournament time. Target tried a three-pointer, a long three-pointer, and missed it. Here come the Hoosiers again. Lyndon Jones, 1-on-3. Jones takes the opportunity jumper and has it.
And maybe Indiana's playing a little more transition basketball than they have in past history. I don't know how much more over last year, but maybe more mobile, especially with those 3 quick guards.
This is getting ugly, Bruce. Sanders, too hard. Rebound comes down to Cree Smith. He'll wait for help. Jones tried to force it inside to the cutter, who was Robinson that time. One of the Patriots got a hand on it, knocked it out of bounds.
Well, they're accomplishing what they want to do, Indiana, as far as the tournament's concerned. They wanted to get more playing time, try to develop a little more depth. They've been playing towards the last part of the year with just 7. And maybe they can do that in this ball game and still win. And looking down the road, it's going to get tough if they can get down to those 16 or 32 teams after tonight.
Well, they have played 9 players already. Hard to believe, but they have. I have an idea we might see the rest of Bobby Knight's bench, too. Couldn't be a better game for Bobby Knight.
Well, the way things have worked, I think you're right, Barry. Indiana on the boards, boy.
Every statistic, needless to say, belongs to the Indiana Hoosiers. And this isn't so much a case as Sanders tries to jumper, misses too long. They're not shooting it very well, but this is as much Indiana's playing exceptionally well as it is George Mason's playing poorly.
Well, I think you're right. Just the strength, depth, as you indicated. I thought George Mason had some fair depth. They've got a guard that can come in and relieve, and they've got 2 frontline men. But here we see Smith take it to the basket. Big, strong move. Great block. Looks like he blocked it without making contact, but the foul is called.
Magnus Pelkowski, another 6'10", 222-pound senior out of Bogota, Colombia, comes on for the Hoosiers, replacing Brian Sloan. And Sloan and Bobby Knight again have a little conversation on the sideline. Bobby just telling him, here's what you did right, here's what you did wrong.
Pelkowski's been in the program 5 years, too, and he's been hurt. He played a little bit more earlier in the season. You see the tape on his ankle, like kind of a stress fracture he's had, and physically, I'm not sure where he is as far as full recovery or what percent of recovery he's at.
Jones converts both free throws, and it is a 29-point lead for the Hoosiers.
Well, Jones is averaging 8.4 points a ball game for a good defense.
That's going to be a foul, though, I think, on Chucky White.
And he's a junior college player. Probably the first move, he makes a pretty good steal here, but then runs over McNamara. Looks like
I'd say that's
charge,
a foul.
right?
Chucky White, incidentally, real name John, got the name Chucky because when he was growing up, he used to wear Chuck Taylor sneakers. Wore them so much that his friends all started calling him Chucky.
He's out of Dodge City Junior College. He's had a 20-point high. 4%. Good free throw shooting again by both teams.
Kevin McNamara out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Good defensive player, very bright player. Ernie Nestor feels about McNamara. Good knowledge of the game. Lyndon Jones, cross court now to Smith. Back to Jones. Smith and Jones. A couple of guys named Smith and Jones. Turnaround jumper in the lane by Chucky White.
White is 6'7". He's a junior, averaging about 4 points a game. Good athletic skill.
40 seconds left. I don't know if you play for the last shot here. You need about the last 8 shots. Smith can't get it. Run down by Moore. Now Smith. George Mason has really got a lid on the basket. They have made 1 of their last 14 shots, counting that one. Don't win a lot of games that way.
And they've really had to shoot from the outside. They haven't had a chance to do much getting the ball inside. I think they did a better job earlier in the ball game when it was closer of being conscious that we need to get the ball inside. But right now they're just trying to get back in the ball game as quick as they can.
Lyndon Jones, the man who made the foul, reaching in on Moore. So Earl Moore will go to the free throw line. Tony Nestor trying to keep his players in the game. Talking to Broadnax, probably saying that might not have been the best shot I've ever seen you take. And Moore missed the free throw. Rebound swatted out of bounds from behind by Robinson. It'll be the Patriots' ball.
The other amazing thing with this Patriot team is they've had 3 coaches in the last 3 years with different offensive philosophies. It's amazing that Ernie's been able to pull them together. He's probably been the most disciplined of the 2 coaches that preceded him, and they're playing well right now.
Well, they were a run-and-gun team. Rick Barnes, of course, now at Providence, was the coach prior to Ernie Nestor. Nestor prefers, as you mentioned, a more controlled game.
I think before that was Harrington, isn't he, at Long Beach State?
That's right. Bobby Knight saying think to Chucky White.
Indiana, 5 national championships. UCLA with 10, the only school with more. Kentucky with 5 ties Indiana for that 2nd spot.
Rough road for the Pac-10 conference, with the exception of number 1 ranked Arizona. UCLA, of course, playing tonight. Oregon State losing to Evansville earlier today. Stanford being upset by Siena yesterday.
And on the other side of the coin, the Big Ten has won all 5 games if Indiana holds on and wins this one.
I don't know if holding on is the right word. Cree Smith off the miss. Off-balance jumper short at the buzzer. So the first half comes to an end. And what a half for Bobby Knight and the Indiana Hoosiers. They lead it 56-27. We'll be back after this message and a word from your local station. This is an NC2A Productions telecast.
I've heard people say they use drugs and alcohol because they're bored. They seem to believe that drinking or using drugs will make their lives more exciting. But being out of control, being addicted, well, that's not my idea of excitement. Having goals and dreams and working to make them happen will make life interesting. Drugs and alcohol aren't part of the good life. In fact, they can put the good life permanently out of reach.
Now this Public Service Indiana billboard's going to save lives.
But it doesn't say power lines carry thousands of volts that can injure or kill.
It doesn't need to.
And it doesn't say that power lines aren't insulated like appliance cords.
And where does it talk about the danger from down power lines?
I believe that's understood.
Well, then exactly how is it going to save lives?
Very simply.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Oh. Oh, yeah. Sam Myers.
He said they can start work tomorrow if we let him know today. We still have to apply for that loan.
So call the bank.
They can't respond that fast.
Just watch this.
When you need a loan, any kind of loan, just pick up the phone. When you use First National's loan phone, you get an answer
They'll
back.
call us back in less than an hour.
Well, like I said, just call the bank.
First National Bank.
Coming through for you.
Barry Tompkins back with Bruce Larson. Indiana 56, George Mason 27. Let's see, Bruce. Indiana shot well, played very good defense, rebounded well, ran the court well, forced turnovers well. gave the ball up well, used their bench well. Other than that, they had a lousy first half, though.
I don't know if there's anything else they can do. George Mason, early shot the ball well outside and gave himself a chance to stay in the ball game. Got the ball inside, but really couldn't score inside. And just as you've indicated, Indiana's just dominated in all facets, and it looks like it's going to be a tough evening for George Mason.
I think it already has been, as a matter of fact. We talk about the fact that Bobby Knight has played only 7 or 8 players coming in here. So far, he's played 10 players in this ball game. You have an idea he will reach the very bottom of his bench, and as we mentioned earlier, this is the perfect kind of game for Bobby Knight, easing into the tournament and looking at an awful lot of bodies.
Well, looking ahead, he's either going to get UTEP or Louisiana State. Again, both good defensive ball clubs with pretty good size and some great individual players. So I think, as you indicated, Barry, their objective is to maybe play some more people, see if they can develop some more depth, along with being able to win the basketball game. And so far in this first 20 minutes, they've been able to do that.
And you know, Bobby's not going to let up in the second half either. He'll have his players playing with the same kind of intensity as they had in the first. They lead it. Boy, do they lead it. Back after this from your local station.
Now that my Olympic training is over, it's my responsibility to take care of the family pool. And I get everything I need here at H&S Pool City.
Choose HTH Granular Long-Lasting Chlorinator. It kills bacteria, controls algae, and is faster dissolving for the clearest pool water you've ever seen. The 75-pound drum is now on sale for just $89.95.
Yeah, being in charge of the family pool isn't easy, but somebody has to do it. So come on in. The water's always great in a pool from H&S Pool City.
With all that's being written and said about savings and loans, people are asking questions about safety, about their money. Well, I can tell you that in all the years I've been associated with Great Financial Federal, we've never been stronger and more secure than we are today. We're Kentucky's largest mutual savings and loan. We had a banner year in 1988, and by all indications, 89 should be even better. We're Great Financial Federal, your key to financial security.
Of all the wonderful places to catch fish, the most popular is this one, Long John Silver's, where you can tie into our 3-piece fish dinner for only $3.79. 3 flaky fillets dipped in our original secret recipe batter, served up crunchy and golden brown with all the extras, now only $3.79. Long John Silver's, the best recipe for seafood.
Of upsets and near misses, no such thing here. Indiana having absolutely its own way with George Mason. The Hoosiers lead at 56-27, and this game was tied at one point, 21-all. From that point on, all Hoosiers. You know, 1988 was Dick Schultz's first year as the NCAA's executive director. Schultz spoke recently with Frank Bold of WDAF-TV in Kansas City about a wide range of topics. Let's take a look now at part of that interview.
Dick, you've spent a good portion of the first year and a half traveling the country, campuses all across the nation. What kind of feedback are you getting from them?
There are a lot of issues out there involving intercollegiate athletics, the structure of the NCAA, the integrity issues, everything else that goes along. And there's a real mood to make some positive change. And that's the exciting thing about it, that people are ready to do things differently. They're ready to do some refining of everything that we do. The only catch is that when you say people, well, what are the changes you'd like to see? You have about as many ideas as to what that change should be as number of people you talk to. And I think that's to be expected with the great diversity that we have in this organization.
What kind of message are you taking to those people?
I asked for a meeting with the chief executive officer, either the president or chancellor, a representative of their governing board, or members, their athletics director, or their faculty representative. And the message that I'm bringing them is that the NCAA has tried for years to legislate integrity, and that's not possible. Our rules will help, but if we're going to have complete integrity, it starts right here. It's your institution, and we need a commitment to integrity from the governing board to the chancellor or president to the athletic directors to the coaches, and that we can solve that problem very quickly if we can get each individual institution to make that commitment.
We've been hearing now a lot about the rules and regulations of the NCAA being broken. Is cheating more prevalent now than before?
Well, first of all, the public perception is that everybody cheats, and that's not the case. And I think because of the rash of penalties that came down in December and early January, the impression is that we have more serious problems today than we've ever had. Actually, the converse is true. Our enforcement staff is up to full force, and they've been making a major effort to clean up investigations. All the penalties that you have seen in the last 60 days are things that were under investigation for at least the last 3 years. They don't represent what's going on in college athletics today.
There's been a lot of talk about perhaps banning beer ads in future telecasts of NCAA championship events. Where does that stand right now?
Actually, we've never said that we were going to ban them, but we said we were going to take a look at it, and this is not a new topic. We've been concerned about this for a number of years, and even in past negotiations, there's been attempts and successful attempts to reduce the amount of beer commercials that are contained. Right now, in our current contract, which runs through the 1990 Final Four, there is a maximum of 90 seconds per hour allowed for beer commercials. We would hope that we can reduce that number. We'd like to eventually be able to eliminate them or at least reduce them to moderation or educational type announcements. We're very concerned about the message that might be going out to young people. Beer is not an illegal drug if it's used by people of legal drinking age, but it becomes an illegal drug for those who are not of drinking age. And the bare facts are that about 1/3 of the college students now are below the legal drinking age, and thousands of high school students and junior high school students and younger that watch our telecasts are. And we're really concerned about sending out mixed messages.
Well, time permitting, we'll see more of that interview with Dick Schultz later in this telecast. We'll be right back with more halftime activities after these words from your local station.
Your Toyota dealer got the word. You get the deal. Toyota dealers in this area have been challenged to sell 12,000 Toyotas by the end of the month. So they're dealing like never before. Here's proof. Now lease a new yourself for only $109 a month. That's right, only $109 a month. Dealers are staying open late, but time is running out, so don't wait. The word from Toyota is nobody walks. Don't miss out on the best deals of the year. These savings won't last forever. Hurry to your Toyota dealer now.
When a pro picks his tools, only the best make the cut. These are the tools that work for a living. The heavy metal, like Makita, Ryobi, Milwaukee. And starting now, we've got over 1,000 of the best at Furrow. The big guns at the lowest prices guaranteed. Because at Furrow, we know if there's one thing better than working with the right tools, it's knowing you paid the right price. Get it right from Furrow.
After all those meetings in Minneapolis and conventions in Kansas City, we think you could use a little change of pace. And after 40,000 miles in TWA's frequent flyer program, that's just what you get. Today's TWA. Find out how good we really are. Even before you get on the plane, our in-flight service manager is working to make you comfortable.
There'll be a child traveling alone in row 18, and we'll need a vegetarian meal in row 10. And Tony, make sure we have enough...
Today's TWA. Find out how good we really are.
I've got a long way to go.
I never thought my first call would be such a big deal.
Just do the very best job you can for everyone you talk to. Everything else will take care of itself.
I wanna make a good first show.
Hi, I'm Tom Maxwell with Farm Bureau Insurance. Oh, hi, nice to see you. And this is my manager, Charlie Beasley. Hi. Well, I can see we've got a lot to talk about here.
One of a kind.
Where the Indiana Hoosiers lead George Mason by 29 points. It's 56-27. Right now, Bruce Larson is with a special guest. Bruce?
Thank you, Barry. With me, Jack Cavance, athletic director at George Mason University the past 7 years. Jack, your conference now with 2 teams in postseason play. Do you feel the prestige and the level of competition is on a rising level there?
I don't think there's any question about it. David Robinson kind of put us on the map at Navy, and then Richmond's success last year in the NCAA, and you know, we had a really good year this year with some really quality wins. So I think the caliber of play in the conference is certainly getting better and better.
Well, that's great. Now, in this ball game, you've been watching the George Mason University for a lot of ball games. What aren't they doing, or what's been their pattern during the year?
Well, the truth of the matter is I think we shoot the ball much, much better than we shot the ball. We're a much better outside shooting team. We play 3 guards. We shoot it better. We can't stop Indiana from putting it in the basket, but I think in the second half we'll shoot the ball better and maybe make it a little bit more of a contest.
it's kind of important in this game that you do shoot it well. Now back to Barry Tompkins with some scores of other NCAA games around the country.
All right, thanks very much, Bruce. Let's quickly bring you up to date on everything that's happening. Missouri, an easy winner over Creighton. They win it by 16. That's in the Midwest. Let's move right along. Also in the Midwest, this game played earlier. Colorado State, great defensive team under Boyd Grant. When they can keep you into the 50s or 60s, they are going to win. And they beat Florida, the SEC champions today, 68-46. Syracuse, an easy time with Bucknell. They win it by 23, also in the Midwest. South Alabama, not really a big surprise here. South Alabama ready to play. They beat Alabama by 2, 86-84. Big win, though, for South Alabama. Also in the Southeast, Michigan by 5 over Xavier. Second year in a row, Xavier has been to the tournament. They lose it by 5 to Michigan, playing without Bill Frieder, of course. In the Southeast, North Carolina wins by 14 over Southern University. So the Tar Heels move on with relative ease. In the East, Georgetown, a 1-point winner over the Ivy League champion Princeton Tigers. And they were behind by 8 at halftime. The game was played at Princeton's tempo. Also in the East, North Carolina State, a winner by 15 over South Carolina. North Carolina State really had been on something of a down at the end of the season and through the tournament. They lost first round in the ACC tournament, but they win today by 15 over South Carolina. Iowa beats Rutgers by 14 points, spoiling their debut here in the NCAA tournament this year. Let's move along even more. 2, 3, 4. Iowa wins it by 14, as we said, over Rutgers. That brings you pretty much up to date. Still a couple of games being played later on this afternoon. Let's go back to Bruce now, who is with a guest from Indiana. Happy guest, I'm sure.
Thanks, Barry. With me, Ralph Floyd, athletic director at the University of Indiana. And you've seen a lot of great Indiana basketball teams. What's different about this team?
Well, I think this is a very special team because each individual here knows their capacity and the role they have to play within the system. And I think many people say this is Bob's greatest year of coaching. I think he's had 18 great years of coaching at Indiana University.
Well, he has. Now the Big Ten, 5 teams qualified. If Indiana goes on and wins this ball game here today, that's 5 teams that will move on. Is the competition at a higher level in the Big Ten? What do you think?
I think the Big Ten Conference this year, from 1 to 10 teams, is probably more parity than ever before in the history of the Big Ten. And I think the first 5 or 6 teams are deserving of the NCAA playoff game.
Well, thank you for spending some time with us, Mr. Floyd, and back to Barry Tompkins.
Well, I think he makes a good point. You talk about Bobby Knight. We asked Jim Cruz of Evansville about him. He says he tries to be a better coach this year than he was last year. And looking at the scoreboard, maybe he is.
Officiating has helped my day-to-day job immensely. I'm an assistant principal of a high school. Consequently, I deal with discipline. And it's given me an opportunity that the students recognize me as something other than just a villain. And it's helped me to really relate to them and them to relate to me in my dealings with parents also. They see me as something other than just the disciplinarian of the high school. So it's been a great benefit to my professional job. My philosophy in officiating, or goals that I have, are to work hard each game, to continue to try to be accepted in the leagues that I work and improve as an individual. I've always felt if you became confident or if you became satisfied with the level you were at, the only way to go was down. I think you have to continue to work and have individual goals.
This message furnished by the NCAA.
It's the 1989 NCAA Basketball Championship. Brought to you by Rawlings Sporting Goods, maker of the official ball for NCAA Basketball Championships. By Pizza Hut, official corporate sponsor of the NCAA. And by the new generation of Oldsmobile. Step into the future now at your Oldsmobile dealer.
They're on their way, and we want to wish the Indiana Hoosiers the very best in the NCAA tournament. Good luck, Hoosiers, as you travel on the road to the Final Four. From WHAS TV.
Barry Tompkins with Bruce Larson back in the McHale Center in Tucson, where we have watched the most impressive Indiana Hoosiers team sprint out to a 29-point lead. Incidentally, this 29-point lead is the second biggest halftime lead, Bruce, in tournament history. Second only to the 33-point lead that Michigan State had on Penn Back in 1979, they led it 50-17, but if you take that away, this is the biggest of all time.
Oh, great balance from Indiana. They shot well, 60%, 80% from three-point area. On the other hand, George Mason, only 30%. And as we talked to the athletic director, he said they've generally been a better shooting basketball team than that. And that's what they have to do. Have a little patience here and not try to catch up too quickly. And
it's tough. No matter what way you look at it, it's tough. Some of the individual scoring in the first half, and it's really almost insignificant. Anderson had 13, Edwards had 11. Very balanced scoring. Broadnax gets in and makes the first basket. He's got 7, but they were 1 for 15 to end the first half. Shot it at only 30%.
And then the three-point range, 28%, and then 50% from the foul line. So they didn't shoot the ball any place very well.
Anderson, the jumper, he's got 15. Hillman had 9 in the first half. Giadlo 6. Jones contributed 8. And then they got scoring out of 4 players off the bench. White with a pair, Sloan with 3, Robinson a pair, Smith a pair. Everybody in the act. Sanders underneath, up and in.
Boy, nice pass by Hargett. Penetration, drew the double team, and had a tough pass, but was able to complete it.
Sanders with 9. He's the leading scorer now. Hargett had 7 in the first half. Underneath it goes to Giadlo. Giadlo missed an easy shot. Sanders the rebound.
He's missed quite a few of those tonight.
Broadnax waits for help, looks in, and Edwards knocks it out of bounds. Let's give you a couple of other scores we didn't get a chance to give you earlier, and this was a game we had the pleasure of doing a little bit earlier. 60-51, Seton Hall beat Southwest Missouri State, and really that game was a lot closer than the score would indicate. Speaking of close, Evansville wins in overtime over Oregon State. Just a terrific ball game, 94-90. Good win for the Purple Aces.
That was kind of tough. Coach Ralph Meller from Oregon State ends his career, and would have been kind of nice to see him go on and get a few more wins. But again, Oregon State, very good basketball team, but really with no inside game, and the height of Evansville finally paid off for them.
They could really shoot it at three-point range. Jadlow this time gets this one high off the glass and in.
Well, he just threw that one. The other shots he's been missing, he's really had good form and squared up and shot it well. He just kind of threw that up left-handed and got the good bounce.
Smith worked on by Hillman. Underneath the Sanders jump hook. Got it. Scoring. He'll go to the line.
You still have to be impressed with Sanders. Here he is with a jump hook, 6'5", shooting over 6'9". Jadlow. He's averaged 23 points a game for the Patriots. 11 rebounds at 6'5". One of the top rebounders in the nation. Right now ranking 9th in the nation in rebounding.
And the line on Kenny Sanders, as you see, 11 points, 5 boards. An otherwise dismal evening for the George Mason Patriots.
He's hit a few outside for them too, 54%, 70% shooting from the line.
Somebody forgot about that man underneath. He was wide open. Took a nice pass from Hillman. Jadlow with 10. Tough shot by Smith when he drew the foul. Foul called on Hillman.
Transition offense here is Jadlow now. It's 230 pounds, 6'9", running the floor, beating the opposition down. You like to have your big man do that. That's an important phase of basketball right now in this day and age, is that transition game and your big people running the floor.
One of the things you just have to love about Indiana is the fact that they rarely miss an open man. Dykes gets the loose ball, blocked by Anderson, taken out of the air by Jones. 3-on-2 now as the Patriots didn't get back, and really that's not a bad foul by Broadnax. Because if the Hoosiers were able to get the ball to the middle, they were going to have an easy basket.
Joe Hillman, senior, academic All-American, outstanding student.
Out of Glendale, California, Hoover High School. Timeout on the floor, 17:25 remaining in the ball game. Indiana clings to a 28-point lead. It was 29 at the half.
slice of pizza? Me too. Nothing's better than a fresh, hot Pizza Hut pizza, and nothing's worse than not having enough. With loads of your favorite toppings and 2 layers of cheese, one's never enough.
Ready for the second pizza?
Pizza Hut, making it great.
This new Olds Cutlass Calais International Series reminds me of me. It just won't quit. Fact is, I'm so revved on the new style and features, no way am I coming in. That quad 4 engine really cooks. My dad and granddad would love it.
This is not your father's Oldsmobile.
It sure suits me and Betty Joe.
This is the new generation of Olds.
How about the president's on the phone?
Heck, try.
On the brink of NCAA title number 4, or is that NCAA? I can't quite read that. G.I. Joe Hillman and the General. Well, this guy with the ball, Jay Edwards, might have something to do with it too. Very balanced scoring for Indiana. They're just doing everything right. How about that play? Edwards to the basket.
And take it to the basket and shoot it. When you think that the 5 Big Ten teams have all advanced today, it's Indiana and Illinois and Iowa and Minnesota and Michigan. Indiana, another strength is they play the toughest schedule in the country of the top 10 teams. So I think that's a benefit too, a hidden benefit down the road.
And they're just getting better. You got to throw out that last game with Iowa. Iowa smoked them the last game, but Bobby Knight sat 4 of his starters in that ball game. So they were a pretty consistently well-drilled team coming down toward the end of the year. They played their best. You win 15 games in the Big Ten Conference, you're playing pretty darn good. Jadlow.
Well, that was the one thing the coaches were concerned is the inside strength of Indiana. And Jadlow and Anderson now are getting better each ball game, as you indicated. They're 6'9", both of them, good basketball bodies. So they'll match up pretty well with teams down the road. There'll be a few teams maybe they're a little bigger and more physical. Boy, when you think about the great perimeter game they have, and then the good helping defense.
And you got the great player in Jay Edwards. Balanced scoring for Indiana today. Anderson with 15, Edwards 13, Hillman 11, Jadlow has 12.
Well, even though that offense is geared to get shots for Jay Edwards, if he doesn't have the shot or he's able to kick it off, so even though his 20-point average leads the club in scoring, they've got some pretty good balance with the 4 players in double figures and Jones close behind with 8.
Edwards has it knocked out of bounds on his way to the basket. Inside, of course, Indiana just dominating George Mason, 28-6 in the paint. You know, once again, we were talking yesterday with the Evansville coach, Jim Cruz, who many people feel may wind up in Michigan, about Bobby Knight, because he played for Bobby Knight. Hillman can't get it to go. And he said, sometimes Bobby Knight can tell you what you can do better than you could tell yourself what to do.
That's a pretty good analogy.
Oh, ow! Dykes hit that off the bottom of the basket. Kind of a reverse dunk.
When you think seniors, Hillman's a senior, and Jadlow's a senior. That's they'll be gone off this ball club. But the recruiting group that's coming in at Indiana, a lot of people feel is as good as there is in the country to supplement and complement this group that's back, plus Robinson and White. And the redshirt young man, the 6'8" all-star from Indiana. So the talent's not going to run dry, and they're going to have a chance to be a great ball club again. And of course, with the General, that's always a high possibility.
They're going to be very good for a very long time. Jay Edwards, there's a nice backdoor play. Moore to Smith. Bobby Knight talking about Jay Edwards. Said he's a very quiet personality, but he has a tremendous knowledge of the game. And what Bobby is trying to get him to do is to spread that knowledge to his teammates. He's got to tell them what he knows. And he's trying to make him a little bit more like Bobby Knight's favorite player of all time was Quinn Buckner. And now I kind of hear Bobby talking about Jay Edwards in the same breath with Quinn Buckner.
Well, Coach Knight is really getting on Joe Hillman. I'm sure they've worked on dunk plays, and they probably didn't expect it from Mason, but they'll get those kind of plays against the better teams as they move up in the NCAA brackets.
Jadlow at the free throw line.
game like this with the big lead you have, you don't want to see your players making mistakes or getting a little helter-skelter. You want to keep them focused on the job that they have, and here he makes a substitution. I'm sure he's going to have a few words for Joe Hillman.
Hillman gets the seat next to Bobby Knight. I'm sure no player wants that seat. Now they put an assistant between
Tate's
Hillman.
Locke, a longtime assistant and head coaching jobs in a number of universities.
There's Moore. Of course, by the same token, Bobby Knight feels that Hillman is his most valuable player. He made that point very, very clear at a banquet, as you might have seen on some of the national television programs.
The coaches and the media voted Jay Edwards the most valuable player in the Big Ten, and Bobby Knight says he's not the most valuable player in the Big Ten. In so many words, he says it's Joe Hillman.
Well, he just wants Jay Edwards, as mentioned a moment ago. How about that lean in by Anderson? Offensive foul, but still big-time play. He just wants Jay Edwards to spread his knowledge, to be a little bit more of a leader on the floor. And he is a quiet personality, so I'm sure that's something that Edwards is really going to have to dig down and find in himself.
Good inside pass, strong move to the basket, and probably a good call. Leaning in, but good body on this young freshman from Chicago area. Boy, he's going to be a good one. Going to be, I guess he already is. He should qualify that.
Dykes on the floor. Notice how the Hoosiers just help out defensively. Jadlow the rebound. Here comes Meeks. Meeks had a very good first half.
I like the way Anderson gets out on the perimeter and plays defense at 6'9".
Anderson in the paint, down low. Leans in, held the ball nicely, gave it a double clutch. Front for the rebound. It's going to be out of bounds to the Hoosiers.
He's averaging 6 rebounds a game. He's a leading rebounder on this Indiana club as a freshman. And that's number 7 as far as a rank in the conference. Jay Edwards was the number 2 scorer in the Big Ten. So they do have a few players that are up there in the rankings, but generally it's that team concept that makes them as good as they are.
Bobby right now essentially going with 2 1 guards. He's going with Meeks and Jones, both really point guards. Cree Smith back to Jones. Jones over with 8 points in the first half.
Well, I'm sure he's calling Cree Smith a guard. Look at that move.
Jones has 10.
Good quickness, and his teammate, of course, Edwards, gets most of the publicity, but here's the guy, only a sophomore. Maybe Meeks and Edwards and Jones will be the 3-guard tandem next year.
Jones cross-court this time for Meeks. Now Cree Smith. Jones will take the jumper. Nails another one.
I think as he plays the year out, he's getting to be a better outside shooter. He's a good outside shooter, and now with his confidence and getting to play, he's really going to complement Jay Edwards. Meeks is out of Illinois. He wasn't really recruited very heavily.
That was Dykes with a basket. He's got 7. Steve Moran has come on number 42 for George Mason, playing on number 42 for Indiana, Cree Smith. And it goes to Jadlow again, across the paint. Might have traveled. He did. Jadlow will come out, Robinson will come on.
I think Jadlow, a good plugger, you know, and worked hard all his career. He's out of a Barton Junior College. Bobby Knight did recruit some junior college players the last couple of years, but I don't think he's got any coming in next year, and probably with the program back where it's going now, he won't go that route for a while.
Becoming more prevalent, of course, junior college players, as a result of Prop 48, I think.
I think you're right. I had a chance to watch the junior college first round last Monday, and a lot of good individual players.
Moore nails the jumper. His first 2. This game going along pretty much as it was at the half. 29-point margin. That was the difference at halftime. That's the difference now. Bobby Knight looking at an awful lot of combinations. Out of the Southeast Conference, UCLA and Iowa State in a tussle. Bruins lead it by 4 at the half. Iowa State, a talented team that is also playing very well toward the end of the year.
Well, I think you're right. They had some big wins with Missouri, and of course, if UCLA wins, that'll leave 2 Pac-10 teams still in the tournament. UCLA And Arizona playing tomorrow against Clemson, and that could be a good ball game. Clemson with some size could match Arizona there, or maybe a little disadvantage on the guard line.
Meeks at the line for the Hoosiers, gets the roll. Hoosiers characteristically a very good free throw shooting team.
Well, they recruit good athletes and good shooters. Bobby Knight's philosophy, you know, is you need to play good defense and you need to shoot the ball well in this game. That's two phases, and that simplifies it quite a bit, but that's true. We saw in the first ball game if Southwest Missouri could have shot better, it could have been a difference in the ball game. They played good enough defense.
Hoosiers 13 out of 16, just to emphasize that point today at the free throw line. Try to force that pass in, and we got a grab. Let's see who they call it on. Cree Smith.
You get a chance to see the good drop, what they call drop defense. As soon as the ball goes behind the defender, they automatically go with the pass, and they got those quick hands in there on that postman, making it really tough for him to catch the ball and pass it or shoot it.
Smith, pretty good jumper. Now Moore tries to get around Meeks, got in the air, leaves it for Hargett for the three-point try. He got it. Hargett, the freshman, with 10.
George Mason now is playing with a smaller lineup, kind of like a three-guard lineup. With Smith and Moore and Hargett.
Meeks got in the air like he was going to shoot it. Robinson thought he was going to shoot it. He dropped it off for Robinson, and it hit him on the shoulder.
Well, Robinson was wide open going to the basket, but he was thinking about that shot or that pass being up at the rim.
10th turnover for the Hoosiers. Again, you see Indiana help out. Smith with a three.
Well, they had a streak early in the first half where they were able to kick it back out and got some pretty good three-point shooting.
Yeah, they tied the game at 21. And then they just went away, and Indiana got it going. A combination of those two resulted in a 29-point Hoosier lead. Jones too hard off the glass, Dykes the rebound. Sort of a mini run here for the Patriots.
Not a very big Indiana team in there.
Sanders follows Hargett's miss. Another turnover, 2-on-1 now. And it is Moore on the wing, and it might be an offensive foul. No, they're going to call it on Meeks.
No, I think you're right, maybe. That's really about all you can do back there when you're 2-on-1, and you hear see Meeks try to pick up the offensive foul.
Well, they did call it on Moore. Should have kept my mouth shut. I was right the first time. That's a pretty good indication of how to mess up a 2-on-1, isn't it?
Boy, it is. You know, that should be a layup each time down the floor, but you got to be under control. And really, the defensive player, that's all he can do is try to get a charge foul, and that's exactly what he did.
And I guess the general rule of thumb, turnaround jumper by Robinson, general rule of thumb is pick out somebody and go with him.
Well, the guy with the ball.
There's
another one.
Like a replay. And another offensive foul. Meantime, Cree Smith's getting bruises on both shoulders here.
Yeah, you stay away from that guy with the ball until he gets close to the basket, down around the blocks, and then you go right after him. He's either got to pass it or shoot it. And here you see a great example, taking the charge. And teams like Indiana and a lot of coaches, defensive-minded coaches, teach that. You know, go through that in practice. Fall on your back.
Moore is fouled out of the ball game with 5 fouls. And Ernie Nestor just in the midst of one of those games that you have an idea with the talent that he has there and the talent that he has coming in. You might see Ernie and the Patriots back here. Ernie and the Patriots sounds like a rock group. Back after this, your local station.
Cross Pontiac Jeep Eagle is price break headquarters. Now just $79.95 buys your choice. 89 Le Mans with air, stereo, and more. Or 89 Eagle Summit, your choice, $79.95. 89 Eagle Premier LX with air and more, just $13,370. 89 Grand Am with air, only $99.95. Cross Pontiac Jeep Eagle is price break headquarters. 2 locations, Waterson Expressway at Newburgh and Dixie Highway at Lower Hunters.
If you buy a riding lawnmower based on price alone, you might be inclined to lean in this direction. But when you consider Lawn Boy's rugged gear drive transmission, commercial grade engine, and sturdy box channel frame, you get a more balanced perspective. And when you consider the fact that it's a lawn boy, it puts a whole new slant on things. Get your Lawn Boy dealer's best pitch at the season opener sale.
We picked up Green. He shoots and he scores. The crowd goes wild. Cap. Hi, great crowd out there, huh? Oh, you know, they're here to salute you.
I love them all.
You know, I'd sure like to be in your shoes.
Better lace them on real tight, because that's all you have out there. Just you and your shoes.
Hey, Cap, who was the quickest player you ever saw?
Nate Archibald, Kansas City.
Who was the toughest you ever put a move on?
Judy, sophomore, UCLA.
Well, the NCAA wants to know what you think about the three-point line. If you think it should stay at 19-9, what it is now in college basketball, call 900-260-6301. If you think it should be from the international distance, that's 21 feet, 260-6302. The pro distance, 23.4, 260-6303. It's 60 cents a call. If you think it should be 40 cents, call 900. I don't know. What am I talking about? Here's Meeks with the ball for Indiana. Cree Smith. Robinson with the ball now. Chucky White also with the ball. Game number 5. There he is down on the blocks. Kind of got lost. Didn't quite know what to do with it. He turned an ankle, I think. He's in some pain. It looked like, Barry, that he did. He's moving around better right now. Drew the foul nicely. Hargett, who turns around and says, wait a minute. Chucky White seems to be okay.
When you look at George Mason, they've got one senior on that starting 5. They've got 2 seniors on their first 8. So as you indicated earlier, Bear, they would have a chance to get back in this tournament. That big young player, Abrams, gets a chance to develop.
They got a transfer from North Carolina State by the name of Tucker, who they expect will step into the starting lineup next year. Colonial Conference, not a bad conference in general. Richmond Spiders, well-coached basketball team. So is this George Mason team.
And Richmond still in the NIT. They get a big win against Temple, so they move on.
UNC Wilmington on a bit of an up right now. Got to the tournament final.
I think as Mr. Floyd emphasized that the parity of basketball, he had talked about the Big Ten, but even around the country, with a limited scholarship situation, more balanced play and more equitable teams.
Chucky White with a rejection at one end and Lyndon Jones with a basket at the other. All the Indiana starters in double figures now.
Well, this is pretty much the team for Indiana that played against Iowa last week.
Remember, Bobby Knight sat 4 of his starters in that game. Never really explained why. The popular school of thought was he just wanted to rest them.
Well, some injuries. Edwards had a back and gave their, long they've been playing primarily 7 people in that tough conference, physical toll and a chance for him to rest. Some people felt, well, he took away his #1 ranking or seed in that area and a chance to play in the Hoosier Dome. But he indicated it doesn't matter too much where you play, you got to play. And you got to beat everybody anyway.
What he said he'd rather be here than not be in the tournament. Kind of a backhanded compliment, I guess. Saw Chucky White, incidentally, a moment ago at the defensive end with a ripping kind of rebound.
Well, in this region, on Sunday, they'll have Seton Hall against the very good Evansville team. Should be a good matchup. And then these Indiana Hoosiers will play the winner of the next ball game, UTEP or Louisiana State.
In the lane, Sanders. Sanders was 16.
So this region's kind of fortunate. They've got a number of All-Americans in the tournament. I'm anxious to see Jackson play from Louisiana State. I've seen him on some tape, but I haven't seen him in the ball game.
Yeah, I have too. As a matter of fact, my longtime partner during the season, Dan Belwamity, says, I'll tell you, I have not seen a better guard in a long, long time, and I trust Dan's judgment.
He's not quite as big as Edwards. I think 6'1". But boy, the phenomenal scoring he's done, and
Dan said the simple fact is you can't guard it, and you can't double it. And he gets up on top with the jumper really quickly. Hargett scores. 13 for Mike Hargett.
Well, you got Jackson in this tournament, who's a first-team All-American. Edwards, who's a second-team All-American. And then you got about 5 honorable mention people. Sanders here for George Mason's an honorable mention All-American.
Nice
as
touch.
is Hillman.
Turnaround jumper at the baseline for Chucky White.
Well, here's a guy with some good athletic skills, some pretty good size, about 6'6" or 7", good quickness.
Moran, inside it goes to Sanders, draws a crowd, too soft off the glass, rebound down to Cree Smith. And again, one shot for George Mason.
I'm not sure how many rebounds Sanders has. He indicated at the top to show that he was a pretty good offensive rebounder, but with only one shot, he's not getting a lot of offensive boards.
Cree Smith hits a 3. 5 out of 6 from 3-point range for the Hoosiers. They're just doing everything right today. They lead by 27. They've kept that right around no less than 23. Got it up to 31. Turnaround jumper by Smith.
And the 3-point shot's really a crucial shot in their offense.
Chucky White. No call, but you'd never convince Dykes of that.
That's a good strong move in the finger roll layup. Indiana for the year shot 47% 3-point shots. That's number 3 in the nation.
It'll be George Mason's ball.
We talked about Edwards shooting 44% for the year. Last year he shot 57% from 3-point range.
Lenny Nestor just trying to keep his players in this ball game, still coaching. Leading a few cheers. McNamara, Broadnax outside. Down low it goes to Sanders. Tried to force it up. Got a grab foul on Meeks. Kobe Knight said that he felt that they had to win 8 of 9 games at home. They did that. They had to win 15 games to win the Big Ten Conference, and they did that. A lot of people felt 13 games would win the Big Ten.
Well, they felt with a parity of the Big Ten that even though Michigan had a lot of people coming back, but Michigan's lost their coach. Coach Frieder's going to Arizona State, so he'll be in the Pac-10 next year. But Michigan had a lot of people back. Iowa had a lot of people back. Illinois had everybody back. Illinois struggled in that first round. A lot of people feel they're as good a basketball team as there is in the country. Great quickness. One thing they lack is size, but they beat Indiana twice.
Kobe Knight has a few words to say to Meeks. Didn't finish his words the first time. Walked down to the end of the bench where Meeks was trying to hide and finish the sentence. Mike Delosio is on now. Mike Delosio went to the University of San Francisco. Was a starter there. That just about tells you the difference between University of San Francisco and Indiana.
Well, I don't know. I think he walked on, didn't he? And
I think he did, actually.
Pretty good shooter, a hard worker. They like him.
Played on a high school team that won 39 games in a row.
Perimeter shot. Look at the screen out over there as you pick it up. Important to screen those 3-point shooters out because you usually get long rebounds. A lot of them will come right back into that 19-foot area.
So right now for Indiana, Magnus Pelkowski is in the ball game. Robinson at the free throw line. Chucky White, Delosio, and Cree Smith. And White, an off-balance shot from the baseline.
Well, he showed well, and reports indicate that he played well in that Iowa game.
Jumper Smith outside. Vern Lundquist will be doing ball games for CBS. He'll be doing the UTEP LSU game later, and then of course moving on. Adam, we noted a moment ago talking about George Mason shooting in the first half. Said really it's George Masonry.
Indiana, great basketball tradition. They've been, what, 18 NCAA tournaments. This is their 4th straight. I think the other characteristics, they get to the Final Four, they usually win it. They're that kind of a team. If they're going to get there, they had that kind of a tradition also. When they get to that tough top game, they're usually able to finish it off.
A disheartened bench for George Mason, as you might expect. Chucky White, meanwhile, giving Bobby Knight some very, very good minutes. He converts both free throws. 4 minutes, 39 seconds remaining in the ball game. It's all academic. Indiana 90, George Mason 61.
Cross the road, cross the road. Cross the road to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Burgers don't have it. Pizzas don't have it. Only one place has it. Cross the road to Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Only Kentucky Fried Chicken has the Colonel's original recipe of 11 herbs and spices. So when you want that one and only taste, come on over to our side of the road.
Cross the road to Kentucky Fried Chicken, yeah. Cross the road, cross the road.
This is my new Buick Skylark. And since it's a Buick, it doesn't surprise me that the Skylark is very stylish. With room for 5, and it's smooth and powerful. What did surprise me, though, is that Buick's little limousine is priced less than a Honda Accord DX. So, I got a little limousine for the price of a little car.
The great American road belongs to Buick.
It's happening for a limited time only at your Kentuckiana Chevy dealer. A giant spring truckathon of over 1,800 tough Chevy trucks, like the #1 selling compact pickup in Kentuckiana, Chevy S10 from just $73.74. Or get automatic transmission at no extra charge on the #1 selling full-size truck in Kentuckiana, the full-size Chevy pickup. Don't miss this disposal sale of over 1,800 tough new Chevy trucks. See your nearest Kentuckiana Chevy dealer today. Donahue, Farrell, and Hodgenville, Wilson and Bardstown, Billy Tingle in Springfield, Alex Montgomery in Campbellsville.
Well, Bruce, I guess any coach in America would like to see a line like this.
Great balance. Anderson's a little over his average. Edwards is a little under his, but you got to figure they probably played about 14 or 15 minutes, each of them at the most.
And just for good measure, Chucky White off the bench has contributed 10 points, so 6 players in double figures for the Indiana Hoosiers.
So again, as we talked about at the top of the show, they probably accomplished what they wanted to do, win the basketball game, get some playing time for some people off the bench to hopefully develop some depth as they move along in the tournament.
McNamara almost lost it. Now gives it up in the corner to Smith for the jumper. That won't go. Down to Sanders.
Where Sanders did a great job of pushing off with his left hand and getting that offensive board. Watch as Sanders goes up here on the right-hand corner of your screen. Push off, hold him off, get the inside position again. He's done that often. I suppose he has about 6 offensive boards in the ball game.
Sanders doing his job. He's made the points, shown a good ability to jump, known as a jumper. Showed that he can shoot the ball from outside. If he has a future, you have to think it's in the back court.
He went to Oklahoma. He's a transfer. He went to Oklahoma, kind of out of his element down there in the East, and went back to George Mason. He was originally scheduled to go to George Mason, then went to Oklahoma, and back, and has scored over 2,000 points in his career, so he's been a real factor in the program, playing under 3 different coaches, but still surviving.
Chris Smith, now Mike Delosio. Chucky White. Tried to go inside, threw it a little tall for Chris Smith. Here comes Hargett to the basket with White behind him. White fouled him, and Hargett made the basket.
This is great experience for this young freshman. He's had to come along and assume the point responsibilities for this ball club. Quick, good strong legs. He showed some outside shooting here in this ball game, and also took the ball to the basket on occasion.
Hargett gave White a little extra shove out of bounds also. Dykes comes back, McNamara leaves. Hargett will try to convert the 3-point play. working fairly well, but Pelkowski runs it down. There's White outside, now Delosio. The cutter was Robinson. Broadnax just knocked it out of his hand. Hargett again. Hargett to the basket. Block foul called on Delosio. Stepped in front.
Again, a good move with the ball on the floor. Hargett's at 5'10". Good pair of legs. I mean, weighs about 170 pounds. Has been averaging 11 points as a freshman for George Mason University.
Hargett with 2 shots, has the first. It's a nice touch, as you mentioned, at the line.
As you indicated earlier, Moore is a senior returning. They thought he would be the point guard. Hargett came in and taken over.
Delosio gets it across the timeline. Hargett right on him. Delosio again. Travel. George Mason really hasn't turned the ball over all that much. Only 12 times in the ball game. Might think with a difference of 23 points that it would be more than that. 3-pointer for Hargett. Too little, too late for the Patriots. And a timeout on the floor. 2:58 remaining in the game. George Mason's cut the lead to 20. And yes, that's saying something. It was 29 at the half. Back after this from your local station.
Before you buy just any new car, stop at Neil Huffman's Mazda Superstore. We'll beat the pants off any deal. Right now, Neil can't be beat with special deals on his full line of Mazdas, 323s, MX-6s, B2200 pickups, 929s, RX-7s, 626s, and MPVs. And we're so sure we've got the best prices in town, we'll beat any other Mazda dealer's price or give you $1,000 cash. Only at Neil Huffman's Mazda Superstore for a deal that can't be beat.
Of all the wonderful places to catch fish, the most popular is this one, Long John Silver's, where you can tie into our 3-piece fish dinner for only $3.79. 3 flaky fillets dipped in our original secret recipe batter, served up crunchy and golden brown with all the extras, now only $3.79. Long John Silver's, the best recipe for seafood.
A quality newscast takes quality news people.
Chuck Olmstead, Action 11 News at the state capitol in Frankfurt.
Live by satellite from Washington, Melissa Forsythe for the 5:30 Action 11 News.
Action 11 News, 19.
The worst months for fire. Her biggest job is guiding featured
The first victim was found yesterday.
In Bullitt County, Mark Ebert.
Quality people and a quality newscast. Action 11 News on WHAS TV.
If you're into round numbers, there's some round ones. Indiana 90, George Mason 70, 2:58 remaining in the ball game. Indiana just blew George Mason away in the first half, and that's been the story. Second half, down in the southeast, UCLA, a 2-point lead over Iowa State. That game figured to be a close game.
Well, I think so. Both teams had good years. UCLA with a pretty young team. Pooh Richardson, their great point guard, is the only senior on that ball club. Iowa State had some big wins.
Sanders steps in front to the basket. Bree Smith to inbound now, does for Delosio. Full court pressure by George Mason. They have forced some turnovers. Hoosiers have turned it over actually more than George Mason. Another one. Sanders leaves it for Hargett down the lane, off balance. Sanders has the rebound and the putback.
Well, he's added to his offensive board total, and there's a quick run of 4 points.
It's a 16-point ball game. It's gotten Bobby Knight's attention. Chucky White, a jumper, a little short. Fight for the rebound, and it's run down by Pelkowski. time Robinson. He'll kick it back out. Cree Smith behind a Pelkowski screen. We'll use a little bit more of the clock. Chucky White, 1:35 remaining in the game. Last 3 minutes, incidentally. George Mason on a 13-0 run. And here's another turnover. Sanders. Nice pass to Smith. Now it's 15-0. Bobby Knight looking up at the clock saying, how much longer is this going to go on? George Mason's just simply going to run out of time.
Well, it's been very ragged, and as a coach, you hate to see your ball club get into that kind of a basketball game.
Bobby Knight barking at the official right now. He's really hot. And Sanders steps in and fouls Cree Smith. And Bobby Knight says he should have called it before. Moran comes on for George Mason. And as we mentioned, a 15-point run in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Sanders, with his 4th personal foul, sits.
The press has really hurt this group of Indiana Hoosiers. I think, again, you get to see kind of the quickness that George Mason has. Smith, the off guard at 6'3", and Hargett at 5'10". And both will return next year.
Cree Smith hits both free throws. And he's got 9. Smith for 3. And it really is a case of too little too late. Ernie Nestor wants him to foul. And Hargett does that. Now that may be an intentional. He grabbed him. But I don't think that is what they're going to call.
I think that's another credit for George Mason. They're playing this game just like it was a 2-point game, taking timeouts after they make pressing, foul intentionally, and of course, Coach Nestor, wants his players to realize that and get in a pattern. So when it does happen, it's nothing new to them.
Robinson at the free throw line. Has it. Gets them both. And there are 43 seconds left. Hargett for 3. Got another. Hargett with 24 points. And a whole gang of threes.
Well, they felt he had to shoot well, and he's done that for them, and not have a lot of turnovers, and he's done that, but it still hasn't been enough to give George Mason a chance to compete.
Hargett with 5 free throws, and Mike Delosio gets a lesson from the coach.
21, gentlemen.
And again, Hoosiers able to shoot free throws very well. At the free throw line today, Indiana 22 of 26.
Well, Coach Knight's trying to do the same thing that Coach Nestor's trying to do. He's trying, it's a tight ball game. You don't give them the 3-point shots. Let's play it like we got to have take those away and make them get it inside and go for 2 or 1.
Chucky White did just that. Got a piece of Broadnax's 3-point try and a foul from behind on Smith. I have an idea some of these Patriot players may be back in that same seat again next year. And maybe with different results.
Well, they could be. I think the prestige of their conference, as their athletic director had indicated, has gone up. Richmond in the NIT, and the Navy was a great contribution a few years ago when they had Robinson. It brought some recognition. So I think around the country, a lot of these smaller conferences, they don't have the visibility that the Pac-10 or Big Ten or Big East have, still play good basketball. We saw that in our first ball game here tonight.
Cree Smith with 10 points now, so 7 Indiana players now in double figures. Broadax with a 3.
Well, a great example of how to get back in the ball game when you have to have threes. George Mason has done that great. Might help them down the line as they realize.
Now they need more than a 3. They need a 12.
But still, they've cut the gap. Down at 12.
Cree Smith at the free throw line, and really free throw shooting, as it has turned out, has really played an important part in this ball game.
Well, I'm sure when you look at the field goal totals, it's probably pretty even. The disparity has been on the free throw line, and Indiana has converted.
Cree Smith converts them both, so 3 ticks left. Smith, the off-balance jumper, it ends. So the Indiana Hoosiers really just had to play out the string. Ernie Nestor kept his team in a ball game now, and you have to give him credit for that. For Bobby Knight's Hoosiers, this is an outstanding basketball team, and a team which I really do feel he is quite proud of, even if it goes no further than it already has. Indiana by 14. Back after this from your local station.
Sure, I'll be in the meeting at 10. Tell her I'll get back in a minute.
Where's that report?
I filed that yesterday. Go to lunch without me. Okay, I'll work late. Gotta reschedule my meeting at the bank.
You do what it takes to get the job done. So should your banker. First National offers appointment banking at times outside regular business hours.
See you at the branch at 7.
First National Bank.
Great.
Coming through for you.
Hello, I'm Jeff Weiler, speaking on behalf of Green Tree Toyota in Clarksville. And we're looking for just a few people in this area who want to buy a very fine used car. You know, not everyone wants a quality used car. Some people only care if it runs. Some people don't even care if it runs as long as it looks good. Well, if you're one of those people who want a good-looking used car that's been mechanically checked out, then you need to come to the used car lot at Green Tree Toyota, where you'll find the finest used cars in the entire greater Louisville area.
Hey, come here. Over here. That's right, in here. How you doing? I'm Papa John. This is my pizza.
Yeah, sure. Oh, it's bacon. Whoa, whoa, it's hot.
I make 'em hot, you get 'em hot.
Smells good in here.
Smells good, tastes good. The perfect pizza.
Okay, I'll order one, but I don't want to find a little man in it.
Don't worry. I'm only in the commercials.
Call Papa John's today. We always deliver the perfect pizza, hot and fast.
Hey, come here.
No.
Barry Tompkins with Bruce Larson, where we have watched the Indiana Hoosiers beat George Mason 99-85. Bruce, for all intent, a 20-minute basketball game.
Well, I think you're right. Indiana was very, very impressive early. It got ragged. Indiana's concerned about some depth for the tournament, and maybe they should be, as the way the reserves played late in the ballgame. Got ragged. I'm sure the coaching staff was not pleased with that.
Game was tied at 21, and after that, Indiana ran off to a 29-point halftime lead. I think probably the thing that Bobby Knight is going to savor most of all out of this game is the fact that he used an awful lot of players, and he got some pretty good performance from his reserves.
He did, and maybe Chucky White would give them some depth in that front line for Anderson and Jadlow down the road as the competition gets a little tougher. And so maybe he accomplished the task there. The three-guard offense with Meeks and Edwards was impressive, and Hillman in there, great outside shooting club, and the big guys maybe are a little better inside than people give them credit for. So they'll be a factor. This will be a good win for them to motivate them, and it's going to get tougher, but they're ready.
I don't think there's any question about it. 7 players scoring in double figures. This is a good team with the one great player and a great coach, and that's what it takes to win the NCAA tournament. Back with more after this.
$179 a month. Remember that number.
$179 a month.
For a limited time, your Kentuckiana Chevy dealer is going to make it impossible for you to say no to a new Chevy. Choose from over 600 new Corsicas and Berettas from just $179 a month, including air. One of the hottest cars in Kentuckiana for just $179 a month. And now, for a limited time, get financing as low as $4.9. But hurry, at $179 a month, these cars are disappearing fast. See your nearest Kentuckiana Chevy dealer today. Bachman in Louisville, Bob Montgomery in Louisville, Coyle in New Albany, Bob Hook in Louisville.
Now that my Olympic training is over, it's my responsibility to take care of the family pool. And I get everything I need here at H&S Pool City.
Choose HTH Granular Long-Lasting Chlorinator. It kills bacteria, controls algae, and is faster dissolving for the clearest pool water you've ever seen. The 75-pound drum is now on sale for just $89.95.
Yeah, being in charge of the family pool isn't easy.
but somebody has to do it. So come on in. The water's always great in a pool from H&S Pool City.
Boy, that sure didn't take long, considering all the damage.
A lot of the credit goes to Farm Bureau insurance. We got the authority to order parts and get to work the same day they towed her in.
I got a hand to you.
Let's see now.
You better send me on my way.
All you owe is your deductible.
Today turned out okay.
I think I can handle that.
It's one of a kind.
Indiana wins it by 14, 99-85. We want to take this opportunity to thank the NCAA Basketball Committee representative, Gary Cunningham, the tournament manager, Dick Barsh, tournament media coordinator, Butch Henry, from George Mason, the athletic director, Jack Cavance, head basketball coach Ernie Nestor and his staff, and sports information director Carl L. Sell Jr. And from Indiana, the athletic director, Ralph Floyd, the head basketball coach, Bobby Knight, and his staff, and sports information director, Kit Klingelhofer. This telecast is a production of the NCAA Communications Department. Dave Kaywood, Assistant Executive Director. The executive producer of NCAA Productions is Jim Marchioni. This game was produced by, and a big personal thanks to Jim Zrake and to Doug Freeman, our director, the productions coordinator, Gina McNeil. So for Bruce Larson, I'm Barry Tompkins saying so long from the McHale Center here in Tucson. Once again, the final score. Indiana wins it 99-85 over George Mason. This has been an NCAA Productions telecast.
On Action 11 News tonight, the fruit scare for Chilean produce, it seems to be over for now, but what about
1983 also survived a double overtime game before going on and winning the national championship. That year it was Pepperdine. Today it's Iowa. We'll continue with our triple header coverage here on CBS after this word from your local station.
In 13 cities and 10 countries across the Pacific, they're playing our song. United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve, halfway around the world. Come fly the friendly skies.
When I heard a new nanny was coming all the way from Australia to take care of my baby sister, I agreed to give up my room, my stereo, my privacy, and bunk with my brother. But I did not expect to have to give up my clothes.
My luggage still hasn't arrived. Do you mind?
The sacrifices I have to make.
It's hard to live with temptation on Live In. Then the American dream lives in Heartland.
Because naked women are good.
For what?
Live In and Heartland, Monday starting at 8.
This is CBS.
Truck buyers, it's time to save thousands during Byerly Ford's incredible Spring Truck Roundup. We've lassoed the year's best price on a great selection of 89 F-150 pickups, America's favorite truck, for as low as $94.99. But we didn't stop there. Save big on new Louisville-built Bronco 2s as low as $12,000 and new Rangers as low as $72.38. Put your own brand on a Ford truck today from Byerly Ford, 4041 Dixie Highway.
With all that's being written and said about savings and loans, people are asking questions about safety, about their money. Well, I can tell you that in all the years I've been associated with Great Financial Federal, we've never been stronger and more secure than we are today. We're Kentucky's largest mutual savings and loan. We had a banner year in 1988, and by all indications, 89 should be even better. We're Great Financial Federal, your key to financial security.
Not one single complaint to the federal government in 86, 87, or 88 out of over 500,000 Hyundais sold.
Right now, the best quality and best car value in America just became more affordable at Bluegrass Hyundai. For only $129 a month and $89, you can own a brand new Hyundai Excel. That's less than what most people pay for their electric bill.
$129 a month and $89.
That's terrific! Bluegrass Hyundai. Here's a Goodyear sale called the Spring Price Break. The Goodyear Spring Price Break. Goodyear's got a lot of deals to make. A lot of money saving deals to make. Goodyear tires are on sale now. At low sale prices that'll make you say wow. Goodyear sale called the Spring Price Break.
Goodyear's Spring Price Break means springtime savings on Goodyear tires through April 1st at participating Goodyear retailers.
That's the Goodyear sale called the Spring Price Break.
Doug Proffitt and the weekend edition of Action 11 News.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Express Mail Overnight Service, the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet, and by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you.
Indiana and UTEP in this second round West Region encounter. The Hoosiers have jumped on top by 12 with Todd Jadlow at the line shooting the 1-and-1. They scored the first 7 points. UTEP cold shooting thus far with 3 of 12. Indiana 8 of 19 from the field. Indiana has owned the boards. Most significantly, Jay Edwards of the Hoosiers scored 10 points early in the game, but he is on the bench. He collected his 3rd foul with 12:28 to go in the first half. So Edwards, despite 10 points, getting a rest. Bert Lundquist, Tommy Heinsohn. This is Tim Hardaway, who is another cold shooting guard today, but the tip falls for Greg Foster, and the score now 26-14. There is Jay Edwards, 10 points, but 3 fouls, Tom.
Well, right now, the inside game of Indiana is also producing. The guards of UTEP have been negated. That's the main portion of their offense. They've tried to entract themselves inside, but it hasn't worked.
Offensive foul called on Todd Jadlow. 9:20 to go first half from Tucson. Indiana up.
When I say sharp.
Copiers.
When I say sharp.
Computers.
Sharp. When I say sharp, I mean
Calculators.
I mean
Fax machines.
I mean
Typewriters.
I mean business. When I say sharp, I mean business.
From sharp minds come sharp products.
When I say sharp, I mean business.
Here's why these members of the United States ski team prefer Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine.
I came down with some mean cold symptoms. I was congested, I was tired, I couldn't breathe through my nose. I took Alka-Seltzer Plus and it helped to remove those cold symptoms.
I've got a number of guys that are depending on me, and I have to be out there the next day. And Alka-Seltzer Plus really helps me do that.
Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. Fast, effective relief for tough winter colds. Try Alka-Seltzer Plus nighttime cold medicine to relieve your cold at night.
9:20 to go first half. Bobby Knight coaching the 700th game of his career this afternoon. His Hoosiers have run up to a 12-point edge.
Well, they've done it in a very intelligent fashion. They have worked the defense. They looked for Jay Edwards, got his game established early. He did some fine rebounding work, and then they went to the inside game a little bit. UTEP, conversely, did not find where their best opportunities were. Their guards kept trying to force the issue, ended up with not good shots, and the inside people were being double-teamed when they did receive the ball. So their offense has been very stagnant.
Winner of this game goes on to take on Seton Hall next Thursday night in Denver. Seton Hall scored the last 13 points of the game to defeat Evansville in our first encounter. UTEP and Indiana fighting for that next spot in the round of 16. Indiana up 26-14. Already in the Denver Regional, Arizona the top seed in the West, and UNLV, they were both winners in Boise yesterday. Arizona head coach Lute Olson is here on what is normally his team's home court. Now let's set the lineups for you. Number 13 is Prince Stewart. The man with the ball now is Tim Hardaway. Completing the lineup, Greg Foster, number 44. Here's Hardaway with a long shot. No, and UTEP is now 25%, 4 of 16 from the field.
They're trying to find some kind of a hot hand, and it's not working, as the big guys of Indiana have done an exceptionally fine job of getting good position.
And the lead is up to 14, and Don Haskins wants another timeout. 8:53 to go first half.
It happens every 7 seconds. Every 7 seconds of every hour of every business day, America puts another new Epson computer or printer to work. It's true. When you've got an Epson, you've got a lot of company.
I had to try this to believe it.
Denerex tingles. Tells me it's doing more. Selsun Blue, no tingle.
Both Denerex and regular Selsun Blue have dandruff medicine, but Denerex adds an extra anti-itch medicine.
So long, Selsun Blue. Hello, Denerex.
World champion Jackie Joyner-Kersee has asthma. Jackie relies on Primatene Mist for the fastest kind of relief. In as fast as 15 seconds, Primatene restores free breathing. Primatene Mist, when speed of relief counts.
You know, the other day, my MCI rep called me up. Says he'd like to stop by with some new ideas. I think my long distance gets complicated again. Then he shows me how I've outgrown my current MCI service. And with a couple of changes, I can have more efficient, more economical long distance. I couldn't believe it. This MCI guy called me up to lower the bill.
Until you call, you'll never know how much better a long-distance company can be. MCI. Let us show you.
8:53 to go first half. Indiana up 28-14. Despite the contrast in personalities, Don Haskin and Bobby Knight are good friends. Watch what happened just before tip-off. Haskins doesn't like to wear the tie. Knight said, "I'll help you out." Knight likes to wear the sweater. Haskins said, "I'll try and help you out." Well, the tie is off, the sweater's still on, and Indiana leads it 28-14. Here's Greg Foster. And the UCLA transfer off the glass for two.
That's the first time in this game he's been able to outmaneuver the defender before the double team got close to him.
Lyndon Jones in the lineup. Here's Eric Anderson, Brian Sloan, and Cree Smith also on the floor now, along with Jamal Meeks for Indiana. So Knight is using his bench early. Fast break, Tim Hardaway. Nice move.
Aggressive defense, that's what UTEP needs right now. Frank Stewart provided it.
Lead is down to 10. Just to complete the UTEP lineup, Stewart and Hardaway are the guards. Greg Foster, Antonio Davis playing with a bad knee, and Mark McCall are in the lineup on the floor now. Jamal Meeks, the freshman.
Bobby Knight's offense is from side to side, and they try and catch you before you can adjust to where the ball is.
This is McCall, number 30, sophomore from El Paso. And look at him triple down on Foster, traveling. Cree Smith, Lyndon Jones, and Brian Sloan all on him. UCLA leads North Carolina by 5 with J.R. Reed suspended for this game. Syracuse has jumped on top of Colorado State by 11 in Dallas. Mark Robinson comes back into the lineup, and Cree Smith heads to the Indiana bench.
Saw Don Haskins there for a moment, jarring at the officials, saying, "Hey, all right, big guys down there, they're getting triple teamed. And you call a walk on my man. How about calling a trip?"
Officials, by the way, are Lenny Wirtz, Rich Hartzell, and Dan Chrisman. There's Anderson. Nice shot.
He has been an outstanding freshman. Had a big night the other night here. Provided a lot of inside stability. Playing much better than a freshman with knowledge of the game.
6'9" from Chicago. Well, these two teams met before back in December, and it was an 81-63 Indiana victory in Bloomington. There's Foster being fouled. Notre Dame falls to Georgetown, 81-74. NC State goes double overtime before defeating Iowa. Michigan outlasts South Alabama to get to the round of 16. And Missouri over Texas, 108-89. Earlier here, Seton Hall defeated Evansville, 87-73. The Pirates' first time ever in the round of 16. Here's Foster at the free throw line. Going back to that December game, Tommy, we were talking with Norm Ellenberger yesterday, the assistant coach at UTEP. He said, boy, it was no contest. It was over in 10 minutes. This one not quite teetering on that edge, but it's getting close.
Well, I think what really happened in that first game is that it was Greg Foster's first game back for UTEP, and they had a lot of freshmen, and it was their first road trip. So I think UTEP a completely different basketball team now than then.
Anderson with two more, the 6'9" freshman from Chicago.
And Jay Edwards is out of the game. They're using that other forward. Even though they have Edwards listed as a guard, he plays over in the wing an awful lot.
Edwards, here's Hardaway for three. No. McCall, nice putback. Nice putback.
Right now, UTEP has got to pick up their defense a notch. Got to get out and start switching, overplay, and give Indiana only one shot.
Meeks. Foster tips it out. Prince Stewart. 3-on-2 break. Stewart in the middle. Pulls up, finds McCall. Blocked by Robinson. Hell ball. Possession arrow, Indiana.
You never really get a good chance to run a fast break because the offense of Indiana leaves two guys back all the time. You've got to make a decision. Best decision most often is pull up and shoot a jumper.
Meeks and Jones, along with Robinson, Anderson, and Sloan on the court now for Indiana. Again, Jay Edwards on the bench with 10 points and 3 fouls. What a feed by Jones.
I'll tell you, he's probably the most underrated of all the players on Indiana. As a teammate from high school, Jay Edwards, and in fact, missed the basketballs for the state of Indiana, even though they were high school teammates.
At Marion, Indiana.
Yep.
5:20 to go. Largest lead. 14. It's been equaled now. Offensive foul. That's 3 fouls on Foster. So he'll quickly go to the bench, and a freshman, David Van Dyke, will take his spot. Foster, the 7-footer, started his career at UCLA. Here is Van Dyke, who's from Mesa, Arizona. Greg Foster goes to the bench with 3 fouls, 6 points. And it's 36-22. Robinson travel.
What happens in Bobby Knight's offense is you've got to do an awful lot of talking or an awful lot of switching to beat people to the spot. And the timing of his offense is just perfect.
5 minutes to go, first half. Indiana jumped off to a 7-0 lead. UTEP got it back to within 2 at 10-8. But then Jay Edwards lit fire, and before picking up his 3rd foul, propelled them to a double-digit lead, which they still hold.
And the UTEP guards have not been able to get their game going. The fast break has been virtually taken away. That's Hardaway's stock and trade, the open court game. And Prince Stewart perhaps trying the penetration route, much like Seton Hall did in the first game here. And it's not being productive.
Stewart, an 87% free throw shooter.
He simply had a fantastic defensive game against Chris Jackson the other night.
Isn't that funny? Jackson hit for 33, but I promise you, Prince Stewart did a wonderful job on him. And most of those points came late in the ball game. That's out of bounds off of Hardaway. Foster on the bench for UTEP with 3 fouls. Edwards on the bench for Indiana with 3. But a comfortable lead right now for the Hoosiers with Bob Knight. This is an Indiana team that started out 3-4 and gave up more than 100 points in 3 of those games. Shocking, Indiana fans. But they come back once the Big Ten season started.
What's shocking to me right now is that they're doing so well without Jay Edwards. Because this man right here has picked his game up 4 notches.
Anderson has 10, equaling Edwards for game-high honors now. David Van Dyke.
Oh, what a rebound by Anderson that time. Perfect blockout.
Loose ball picked up by Anderson. Indiana ball. The Bear can't believe it. Chucky White checks in now, the 10th player used by Bob Knight, as the Hoosiers lead by 15 with under 4 minutes to go.
Right, Indiana got out in front early in their last ball game, and Bob Knight used an awful lot of people, and very effectively.
Here's McCall, way up in the air.
That's the first time they've been able to get behind the defense after a rebound.
Foster started the fast break, then Stewart tipped it. McCall got the basket. This is a foul away from the ball on Mark Robinson. Let's take a look now now and bring you up to date on what's going on in the NCAA championship. Georgetown and NC State advance to East Rutherford, New Jersey. They are joined there by Minnesota and Duke. So you've got your quartet for the regional, the East Regional in East Rutherford. And the winner of this game goes on to Denver to take on Seton Hall. Arizona and UNLV are already there. Doubleheader action, primetime special. Regional semifinals, 8 o'clock Eastern, both Thursday and Friday night on CBS. Lead is down to 11, 38-27. UTEP, which has a huge crowd here. It's only a 45-minute flight from El Paso to Tucson. And they're trying to get their minors back in this. Lyndon Jones.
I tell you, Prince Stewart is harassing anybody coming off his side. And I think Hardaway has to do the same thing.
Robinson looks inside for Chucky White. Jones traveled.
Good ball movement that side. It went from side to side, and UTEP did exactly what you're supposed to do. Fight through the picks or switch. I ended up where Jones had a legitimate shot, but just traveled.
UTEP still bothered by this tenacious man-to-man Indiana defense. Antonio Davis to Stewart, who passes on the three.
The second unit of Indiana, however, doesn't quite execute like their first unit.
Antonio Davis traveling.
Well, we traveled. Why can't he?
2:40 to go, first half. Indiana up 38-27. Winner gets Seton Hall Thursday night in Denver. Foul on Van Dyke. UCLA leads North Carolina. And again, what a call by Dean Smith to suspend J.R. Reed. Said he consulted with his seniors before deciding to suspend Reed, who missed curfew Friday night in Atlanta.
That's a gutsy call. That's what makes coaches legends, making things like that happen. Discipline. A lot of coaches wouldn't have done what he did.
Lyndon Jones at the line. 6'1" sophomore out of Marion.
You know what surprised me in the other night's ball game? He had 8 rebounds. Their point guard had 8 rebounds.
13,300 looking on. Divided in thirds, I think. 1/3 UTEP, 1/3 Indiana, 1/3 Arizona fans who are here having watched their team in Boise. So it's really a split crowd. 40-27, 2:22 to go. First half. Underneath, David Van Dyke, 6'8", 180, hits 2.
Nobody got down on a double team. And this is the second unit defense. The first unit defense was really getting down there helping.
Bree Smith back in. Jamal meets the freshman. Jones, Brian Sloan, and Mark Robinson. The Indiana lineup right now. Lyndon Jones, Stewart all over it. Nope, blocking foul. No charge.
Lyndon Jones, pretty good penetrating guard, but he's up against Prince Stewart. Bobby Knight's offense, if the ball gets caught on one side, that means that everybody else on the away side from the ball is playing tough defense so that you can't make a pass. And that tells the man with the ball he has an opportunity to go one-on-one, and this kid is pretty good at it.
Watching Don Haskins chew with Lenny Wirtz then. I was thinking about a question at the press conference yesterday. Some reporter, obviously not from the Western Athletic Conference, asked Haskins, "You seem awfully calm on the bench." And the Bear looked up at him incredulously and said, "Have you seen us play?" 1 of 2. McCall gets the rebound. Haskins sands tie. He's got that clip-on tie. It's in his pocket. It's going to stay there.
Only has 3 of them, too.
Antonio Davis, good position. Mark Robinson, and Van Dyke gets called for the foul.
When you talk about Bobby Knight's defense, you also have to talk about blocking out.
Coming up at halftime, the road to the Final Four. The James gang, Jim and James, Nance and Brown, 137 away from right now, 41-29. They're going to bring you up to date on everything that's transpiring here in the we wind down the second round action in the NCAA championship. Robinson back in at the line. Sloan with a follow. Gets it to go.
And that was a great play by Sloan, who they were most concerned might not be able to play. There's no way you should be able to come up on it with a rebound on a missed free throw like that if you're blocking out properly.
43-29. Pick and roll, but they can't out. Stewart pulls up with a three. Nope. Look at the ball jump. Whoa. McCall at 6'2", the sophomore from El Paso, really got up in the air.
Well, nobody has heated up for UTEP on the outside. And Hardaway takes little bench duty, and they're trying to find a good outside shooting guy right now.
UTEP is 9 of 27, so they're up to 33% from the field now. McCall at the line. 66 seconds to go first half.
UTEP is a pretty good pressure defensive team. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see some part of this ball game they really get up on people. Even though Bobby Knight's ball clubs are usually well schooled in handling pressure defense.
55 seconds to go first half. Free Smith. No. Robinson. .40 seconds to go first half. Welcome those of you who've been watching other NCAA action on CBS. Our score 45-31 with 40 seconds to go in the first half. UTEP Cole from the field hitting 35%, Indiana 44. Turnovers are even. Indiana started with a 7-0 run. Jay Edwards left the game with 10 points and 3 fouls, 12:28 remaining in the first half, but they have not needed him as Bobby Knight has gone to his bench, and they've been comfortably in front most of this game. I'm Vern Lundquist along with Tommy Heinsohn. 25 seconds to go first half. And UTEP will work for the final shot. The shot clock is on. Depth is told for Bobby Knight's team. Tom?
Well, it's going to mean that Jay Edwards will come back a much fresher player, as UTEP has not solved any of the defensive riddles that Bobby Knight has presented. And it's just plain hard, fundamental defense. Beat your man to the spot, ball goes inside, double teams. You've got to make the shot on the move on the pass quickly inside before the double teams develop. It hasn't happened.
Joe Hillman and Jay Edwards both check back in now with 9 seconds to go in the first half. Lyndon Jones, Jay Edwards. Air ball, Hillman knocks it out of bounds. 2 seconds to go. And Bobby Knight, they'd obviously put in a special out of bounds play, and now he's going to pull them all out. Edwards, Hillman.
Well, they had sort of like the alley-oop play in football, send everybody down into the sideline, you know, near the goal line, and throw the ball up. That's what Bobby Knight's version of it was.
45-31 at halftime. Bobby Knight's team in Bobby's 700th game. Don Haskins in his 28th year, of course, as the head coach at the University of Texas, El Paso. UTEP, a cold shooting team to start the game. They were at 25% for much of the first half. Indiana jumped on top by a 7-0 count. And then Jay Edwards had to leave the game with 3 fouls, 12:28 remaining. But by that time, Indiana was up by 11, 20-9. And it never got closer than 9 points late in the first half. We're at 14 points at halftime. And this is an Indiana team playing away from home, second seeded. If they win, they go on to face Seton Hall in Thursday night encounter up in Denver. And Tom, they've looked very, very sharp despite the absence of Edwards for much of the first half.
Well, there's no question about that. Surprising to me, you know, their first-round opponent here was not really giving them a true test. I thought UTEP would, but Bobby Knight has had plenty of opportunity to use that bench. They played Southwest Missouri State, and not a big team, so you would think that UTEP would give them some problems because they have got a lot of big bodies in close to the hoop, but were not able to use those bodies successfully against Indiana.
UTEP falls behind 45-31 as they jump out again to that 7-0 lead, and Bobby Knight played 10 players in the first half. Also, UTEP shooting at 25% for much of the first half. 13,300 on hand here at Arizona. And just to give an overview of what's happened here in the West, Arizona UNLV are already in. Lute Olson's team is back in Arizona, and they will advance to play UNLV in Denver next Thursday night. Seton Hall is in, and Indiana and UTEP will fill out that quartet.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Mazda Cars and Trucks, including the all-new Mazda MPV. Merrill Lynch, an investment firm built on a tradition of trust. And by Northwest Airlines, the airline that serves over 220 cities and 20 countries on 3 continents.
If you like a challenge, just try to find a better deal than Mazda 323. It's $1,600 less than Toyota Corolla. Its warranty covers you 14,000 miles longer than Nissans, Hondas, or Toyotas. 323 also has their small sedans covered when it comes to overall room. And right now, it comes with $400 cash back from Mazda. $400! That's the kicker.
See your local Mazda dealer today and get $400 cash back on 323.
I can feel it. Burning. Like a fire.
A videotape that guarantees original brilliance and sharpness even after 500 plays? This is the tape that does it. BASF. Because every time you play it, or play it again, or record over it, play after play after play, the original brilliance and sharpness always comes through. So if you're looking for the videotape that just keeps coming back for more, ask for BASF. Because even after 500 plays, the original brilliance always comes through.
Surprise. Here's the tickets for your honeymoon.
Oh, Dad, you shouldn't have.
And we're going with you.
Oh, you shouldn't have.
Northwest frequent flyers earn free trips fast, so you can give them away or go away or both.
Wednesday, the action sizzles with high step and fast breaks and great grabs off the boards. Then, get ready for a slam dunk, in-your-face shot of adventure. Jake and the Fat Man follows Hard Time on Planet Earth Wednesday.
This is CBS.
The only known Peters Webb Square Grand in existence today. In its time, it rivaled Steinway. It was built down on Main Street by the same families that taught Stephen Foster to love the piano. When the first beautiful note was struck on this keyboard 130 years ago, there was a bank that was already being heard from in Louisville. There are banks, and there is liberty.
Cuts long-distance bills with lower rates.
Stop the direct dialing and collect calls.
Lets me know who's talking and how long.
AmeriCall. Business long distance.
Once more, welcome back to New York. Jim Nance along with James Brown. 3 spots still remain for the Sweet 16. Let's get you caught up now on the action here late this Sunday afternoon. UCLA on a 27-13 run at the end of the first half, leading the second-seeded Tar Heels of North Carolina by 8. Indiana out west going against UTEP, and although Jay Edwards has 3 fouls, the Hoosiers leading by 14 at the half as UTEP has been held to only 26% shooting from the floor. Syracuse, yes, Derek Coleman is back. He has scored 2 points, although he did not start in this game. Stevie Thompson with 13 leading the way as the Orangemen are on top of Colorado State by 10 at the intermission.
All right, Jimmy, turning to another basketball note. All season long, the University of Kentucky basketball program has been an ongoing story. Now, that situation is about to resolve itself right now. Joining us live from our CBS affiliate, WKYT in Lexington, Kentucky, is Coach Eddie Sutton. And, Coach, I guess my first question to you is, what is your status with the university right now?
Well, James, after much thought and consideration and consultation with my family and a lot of praying, I've decided I'm going to resign from the University of Kentucky. And I do it for one reason, the love I have for the University of Kentucky, for the Kentucky basketball program, and the people of the Commonwealth. I know how important basketball is to the people in this state, and I've decided for the good of that program and for the fans, for our players, and most of all for my family, I should resign at this time. You know, yesterday I told you that during the NCAA investigation, there have been 18 allegations. I'm not named in any of them. I am innocent. But there have been some incidents like the one we talked about yesterday where they said that I was trying to strike a deal with administration and I would have to fire my assistant coaches. And I explained how important loyalty is to me, and I said I wouldn't ever do anything like that. But these incidents have popped up, and I think that they will continue to do that. And I think a lot of people are going to get hurt, and I can't see doing that. This whole season's taken its toll on a lot of people, the fans, my family, the players, and I just feel like for the best interest of the University of Kentucky basketball program, it's best for someone else to come in and take over. It's a tough decision. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all of the great fans from coast to coast that support Kentucky basketball. I've had tremendous public support from all of them. And a special thanks to a person that's really stuck behind me all the way, and that's the governor of the Commonwealth, Wallace Wilkinson.
Coach, now, you did touch upon it, but let me ask it a bit more clear. You indicated yesterday that you would not resign because it would indicate an admission of guilt. So is this resignation in any way admitting guilt to any of the charges and allegations?
Not at all. I am innocent, and it's been very tough. I've had 30 wonderful years of coaching. I've always tried to run programs in the right way, and I've done the same thing here. But I just feel like that if this continues, it's going to hurt more and more people, and I don't want the University of Kentucky basketball program to suffer anymore.
And, Coach, I can recall when you left Arkansas to take the job at Kentucky, you said this was the job you always wanted. What is next now for Eddie Sutton?
Well, I always thought I'd end my coaching career at the University of Arkansas because of the wonderful people there, but I did come to Kentucky. I'm not sorry that I came. I've enjoyed the experience. It's a marvelous place, a great institution, and a wonderful basketball program. I hope that I can continue to stay in coaching. I hope that some college president or some athletic director will take a chance on me. I think anyone that knows Eddie Sutton knows that I try to coach the game the right way. I try to run a program the right way.
But Coach, you seem awfully good-spirited about the whole thing right now, and I know it must be a great moment of despair. Can you sum up for us, though, what the last year has been like for you?
Well, it's been tough, but the thing I've tried to drive home with all of our players, and that is that life sometimes is not easy in anything we do, and it's how you handle adversity, and we've tried to explain to our players that it's easy to wallow in self-pity, but it takes a real winner to go ahead and pursue the things that you believe in. I think they've grown a lot as a group of people this year. They're all winners, even though we didn't have a winning season, and they've learned a lot from this horrendous experience. I know I have, and I think without my Christian faith, it would have been very difficult.
Coach, the status of your assistants, your coaching staff there, what's expected to happen with them now?
I would assume that they too will resign because, you know, they are part of my staff, and I would think that the new coach would want to bring in his own people.
Coach Sutton, thank you for joining us at a very trying moment, I'm sure, for you, and best wishes to you in the future.
I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you very much.
Good luck, Coach.
And we'll continue here on CBS on the road to the Final Four in just a moment.
I've heard people say that they use drugs and alcohol because they're bored.
They seem to believe that drinking or using drugs will make their lives more exciting. But being out of control, being addicted, that's not my idea of excitement. Having goals and dreams and working to make them happen are what life's all about. Drugs and alcohol can do more than end those goals and dreams. They can end your life.
This message furnished by the NCAA.
My first year was a rough year, but after that, it became very important to me to graduate in a 4-year period. The competitiveness on the court, as well as in the classroom, helped me tremendously because the burning desire I had inside was not just to do well, but to excel, and not just to come off the bench, but to start. Not just to go to class and get credits to be eligible, but to graduate. And after that first year experience, when I saw that I could exist in that environment, I became a believer in myself, a believer that I could start and a believer that I could graduate on time. And from then on, I had one single purpose in mind, and that was to get my degree as well as to become the best that I could be.
This message furnished by the NCAA.
45-31, the Big Ten champion Indiana Hoosiers lead the UTEP Miners by 14 at halftime. They jumped out again to a 7-0 lead early on. Lost Jay Edwards to 3 fouls. Didn't really need him. Eric Anderson played very well for the Hoosiers in the first half.
Well, you know, with the side-to-side offense of Bobby Knight, the big guy who sets picks over on that side of the court away from the ball uncovers an awful lot of times. And for a freshman, he really knew where his shots were in that offense. Played very, very effectively, and they went to him.
It didn't help UTEP that they shot only 33% in the first half. Indiana with a more comparable 48%. Indiana with 16 points off UTEP turnovers, and the leading scorers in the first half. McCall for UTEP off the bench with 8. Edwards and Anderson had 10. We'll return with more action after this message and a word from your local stations.
The finance ministers of the 7 most prosperous Western nations met in Washington this week.
The world has become a global marketplace. Last year, Merrill Lynch helped corporations and governments raise $230 billion for building industries and creating opportunities. We're proud to have inspired that much trust. Merrill Lynch, a tradition of trust.
Beating the Honda Prelude could be a challenge, but look at it this way. This sporty Mazda MX-6 beats it by over $2,500. Its warranty covers you for an additional 14,000 miles. MX-6 has far more room inside. I mean, right now it comes with $750 cash back from Mazda. How's that for a good reason to make the move to Mazda?
See your local Mazda dealer today and get $750 cash back on MX-6.
AT&T called this morning. They wanted to know why we switched to MCI. So I told them MCI showed me how with Prism Plus we could consolidate all our Watts lines on our regular business lines. Something they never did for me. Of course, then they claimed they could do the same thing. I said, then why didn't you tell me that a year ago? End of phone call.
Until you call, you'll never know how much better a long-distance company can be. MCI. Let us show you.
If your car pulls to one side, let Midas check your alignment. At Midas, trained professionals with the latest technology align your car right. You see, we're serious about safety. Hey, nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
This is CBS.
To the limit at the Museum of History and Science. Come see what you're made of.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Sam Miles.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Coors Light. There's no slowing down with a Silver Bullet, the best light beer for a good long time. Dinerex shampoo helps stop dandruff itch with an extra relief medicine, Dinerex. And by United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.
45-31, Indiana leads it by 14. Both squads back on the court now as we get ready for the second half. On your left, Cedric Dempsey, the chairman of the NCAA Basketball Committee. He has had a busy itinerary in the last 2 nights. He's been to 4 different locations. On the right, Gary Cunningham, the athletic director at Fresno State, who is the committee's representative here at the Tucson site. Interesting news at halftime. Jim Nance and Eddie Sutton talking about the resignation, Tom.
Well, it's kind of no surprise to me. The Kentucky program has been under a cloud practically all season long. And one of the things that was mentioned is that some of these charges, they might not investigate if Eddie retired. So tremendous pressure put on Eddie Sutton. And plus the fact that they did not have a successful season this year, they might have gone to bat for him a little stronger had their record been a little better.
McCall, the leading scorer off the bench, is in the starting lineup for UTEP. Tim Hardaway had a tough first half. He's got the ball in his hands right now, guarded by Lyndon Jones. Back to Prince Stewart, Antonio Davis, and Greg Foster complete the starting 5 here in the second half for UTEP.
It's very important, Vern, that UTEP get their defense going and come up with some possessions. So perhaps their offense, they get some easy hooks. They have only had 1 fast break basket the whole first half.
UCLA leading North Carolina, and again without J.R. Reed. Syracuse leads Colorado State by 11 early second half. Our score 45-31. Jay Edwards, Jadlow, Anderson, Lyndon Jones, and Hillman starting 5 in for Indiana. Again, J.R. Reed, as we said earlier, suspended by Dean Smith for missing a curfew in Atlanta 2 nights ago. Anderson for 2.
Once again, and a little leaning of the defense to the penetration, and Anderson popped to the corner. What outstanding range for a big guy.
16-point lead for the Indiana Hoosiers. Foster, double team taken away by Jones, who dropped down to the double.
Well, they bumped him off the spot, and by the time he made up his mind where he was going, the ball was stolen.
Lead is 18. Hillman gets a couple.
The low post people have to really get the feel of making their move right on the catch.
Don Haskins has seen enough. He's called time.
Looking for a great truck or a great truck deal needn't be a challenge. Mazda trucks have been rated the most reliable truck sold in America. The Mazda warranty is the best in the truck business. And right now, you can really clean up. With $750 cash back from Mazda on all our trucks. $750 in cold, hard, wet cash.
See your local Mazda dealer today and get $750 cash back on all trucks.
For a half-century and more, business travelers have depended on United Airlines to get them to their most important meetings. United, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.
A win, and you go on. A loss, and you go home. March Madness on CBS Sports.
Earlier today, Michigan a winner over South Alabama. UCLA, North Carolina playing right now. Those 2 teams will join Oklahoma and Virginia in the Southeast Regional Final in Lexington on Thursday. And it'll be televised as part of the Thursday-Friday primetime special on CBS.
You know, Oklahoma to me looks like they pulled up to a gas station and got their tank full. Top off your tank, Oklahoma. They are doing it to everybody.
After going on fumes in their first game to East Tennessee State. The lead is now 20 as Lyndon Jones gets 2 more. And unless UTEP can get some pressure defense and some shots to fall, this one's going to be over. There's Foster. He does get the roll.
Off the rebound, but again, it was a long rebound. Bobby Knight's ball clubs are so fundamentally sound. They had a cup around the basket, protecting it for the rebound.
Hillman cutting and foul by Stewart. And back in the second row behind the young lady with a hot dog is Lute Olson with his wife Bobby to the right. Lute Olson has his team in the round of 16. Arizona meets UNLV on CBS in Denver on Friday night. They knocked off Clemson easily yesterday and will face UNLV and Jerry Tarkanian.
Sean Elliott, outstanding, but Bushler yesterday had a fantastic basketball game. He's one of their keys, plus the Cook on the inside. But they can beat you in so many ways.
So can Indiana. But they start with Jay Edwards. And it's a 21-point lead at 54-33. Blocking foul on Todd Chadlow.
There are question marks in the eyes of the U10 players.
And the most valuable player in the Western Athletic Conference tournament, Tim Hardaway, went down with an injured knee. Jay Edwards helps him up. Hardaway with 31 points in the win over LSU on Friday night.
We talked about him in that ball game, and here's where it's going to happen. He tries to put a move on and just runs into Jadlow. Took a knee right in the calf.
Hardaway having a tough afternoon. He's only 3 for 12. Here's Stewart for 3. Anderson went up. Edwards gets it and gets rid of it to Jones. 17:15 to go. 54-33. Knocked out of bounds by Greg Foster, Indiana's ball.
UTEP that time tried to double the ball underneath their own basket after Edwards had the rebound, but he got the outlet pass. He had a fabulous fast break opportunity. And Hardaway hustled.
Anderson saves it. Back to Hillman. Followed by Anderson.
There it is. When they set those picks on the weak side, a man comes steaming in and made a switch, UTEP, but that left their rebounder uncovered.
Eric Anderson with 14, Jadlow with a rebound. It's a 23-point Indiana lead. Edwards puts up the three-pointer. And it's a 26-point edge.
They never got the double team down there that time, Indiana, and that allowed Foster to make a little move. Once he gets the ball and gets a chance to think, pretty good, but he's got to learn how to get the shot off on the catch.
Jadlow gets the entry pass from Lyndon Jones, and over Foster scores 2.
Now Jadlow may not be as athletic as Foster, but he knows how to get position down in there. He had super position.
Double team Hillman. And somehow Hardaway gets it to fall. But Hardaway now 4 out of 13 from the field and only 8 points.
You know, Jadlow has been playing with a chronic bad ankle, and he plays with an air cast. It's very tough for him to get that position down a low post. There you see it. Boy, it looks like he's walking around with Frankenstein boots.
61-37 Indiana, easily on top. 15-10 to go in the ball game. Winner gets Seton Hall Thursday night in Denver. Arizona UNLV already in there. You'll see those games on CBS.
All right, with Indiana up 24 at the moment, let's shift the audience to Atlanta, where UCLA and North Carolina are embroiled in a close one. Bruins leading by 3. Southeast region play. Brent and Billy have the action.
Welcome, those of you who have been watching the Indiana Hoosiers of Bob Knight up against UTEP. Here, it is 63-60. UCLA upsetting North Carolina, at least for the time being. This is Fox missing the 3. Boo Richardson of the Bruins yanking away the rebound.
Nobody on the weak side to rebound against that zone defense by UCLA. Came all the way in from the outside. He got that backdoor cut again. Beautiful.
Looked just like Princeton the other night against Georgetown.
Little blind pig play. Bet you that was diagrammed in basketball journals back in Naismith's day.
Buckner.
He can hit the standstill one-hander.
A 2-point UCLA lead. Time remaining 10:54. Rochelen.
Good shooter. I've never seen a North Carolina defense this passive, Brent, in terms of not changing up very much. Basically, UCLA's been able to get the shots they want.
Whistle away from the ball. UTEP even colder in this half than they were in the first. And look at Indiana with a lot of layups, hitting 89% thus far. Hardaway draws the foul, and time has been called. 14-19 remaining in the ball game.
You hear the thunder, thunder. You can see it in the way it looks. You can feel it in the way it drives. This is America's premier sports coupe, Grand Prix. And now is a great time to check out Grand Prix with GMAC financing as low as 4.9% or up to $1,600 cash back on select Grand Prix for qualified first-time buyers. See your dealer for details today.
When I'm fighting dandruff, I want all the help I can get. So now I'm using new extra-strength Denorex with 39% more dandruff medicine. For my dandruff and itch, there's 39% more medicine in new extra-strength Denorex. For great-looking hair, I can't get too much of a good thing.
With the designed-in sound of a Delco Electronics music system, now the best seat in the house is in your GM car or truck. Delco Electronics, it's who we are.
You're looking sharp. You're looking good. You've come so far. And we know how to make the most of who you are. Where the race is run, you're the champion. Gillette.
The Gillette Atra Plus system with the Lubra Smooth strip for the best a man can get.
Well, some thought that Indiana didn't want to come to Tucson. That did not include the cheerleaders. This is yesterday afternoon as the Indiana cheerleading squad went through their rehearsals, much to the delight of all of us who were staying at the same hotel.
Yes. All I can say is yes.
Indiana seated second here, and they will advance to Denver with a victory here. Indiana, by the way, if they win, will go back to Bloomington. Bobby Knight will take his team back. Anderson misses. Jadlow doesn't get the roll. And Johnny Melvin finally comes out of there for the University of Texas El Paso. Throws it away, traveling. UCLA leads North Carolina by 4 as Jim Herrick's team tries to advance to the round of 16. Syracuse leading CSU, the other Western Athletic Conference team that is still involved. Indiana up 63-39, 13:55 to go. Jadlow. That's into the hands of Prince Stewart. Now Hardaway underneath. Nice pass. 2 more.
One of the first two fast break opportunities that UTEP has had, and they've relied on that a lot this past season. For years, Don Haskins would not allow his teams to fast break, but as his guards, he got better and better guards into his program, he turned them loose on the fast break.
Yeah, he has become a little more of a transition team.
Yep, he was one of those hard-nosed defensive guys in half-court offense. And there are a lot of people like Nolan Richardson who say, you think Bobby Knight is a tough guy, huh? Bobby Knight's a pussycat compared to Don Haskins.
Jay Edwards will go to the line, 63-41. Although the interesting thing to me is how such good friends Knight and Haskins have become. Matter of fact, they were fishing together back in the 70s. And Don Haskins tells the story about he, Ellenberger, his assistant Norm, and Bobby Knight were fishing. Knight has now become a good fisherman, said he was awful that day. Knight tried to fish and hooked Haskins in the head twice.
And he said, Bobby, you sit down in the front of the boat, let Norm catch the fish so he has something to eat tonight.
64-41, 13:20 to go. In the corner, Melvin. Brent Stewart off the mark. Joe Hillman blocks out, gets the rebound. 13 minutes away from a trip to Denver for Indiana. Here's Anderson. And two more balls.
He's got all the shots, Eric Anderson. He's put it on the floor, good range, in close with his back to the basket.
6'9" freshman. 66-41, the lead is 25.
We hear back east, or at least I do, quite a bit about Owens from Syracuse and what have you. Alonzo Mourning, this kid Eric Anderson rates right up there as a performer. One of the top freshmen I've seen.
That is a two-pointer for Tim Hardaway. The lead 66-43. Jones with Anderson on the follow. That'll be two more. He's got 18 and leads all Indiana scorers. No, it's interesting, Tom. Bobby Knight was saying the other day, here's Foster for two, that even back in December when they went 3-4, Bobby Knight had a special feeling about this team. He was asked if he was surprised they had won the Big Ten, if he was surprised they did so well in the tournament. He said, no, I've always felt that this team could accomplish quite a bit.
Well, if you've got they had to bring Anderson along. I had some reports that early in the season he was a little bit timid, didn't want to assert himself, but it seems that they pumped that into him here because he certainly asserted himself today.
Hardaway, no.
He is just not finding the range.
Jay Edwards for three, 68-45, 11:25 to go. Knight's team, of course, won the NCAA championship in 87 and 81. That shot doesn't fall. And back in 76. And there's a foul on Foster. That will be his fourth. How have the conferences fared? Well, Iowa went out today, but the Big Ten still has won 8 of 9. And they appear to be on the verge of making it 9 of 10. ACC also strong. And, of course, down at the bottom, the SEC at 0-5.
That is kind of a surprise. The SEC used to place an awful lot of teams, at least to this level.
David Van Dyke, the freshman, is out. Francis Ezenwa from Nigeria is in the lineup. Edwards, Jones, Jadlow, Anderson, and Hillman. There's a steal. Hardaway has it. And two more fall for Johnny Melvin. 68-47.
They have not really gotten up on the press. Full court press, and that might have been a mistake by Don Haskins because this half-court offense that Indiana uses, particularly the first unit, they've got it down to a hair's breadth. They know when a guy pops open, they anticipate people popping open.
Jones. Melvin gets the rebound. All the way, dishes right. Foster wasn't expecting it, off his thigh, turnover. That is the 14th turnover for UTEP. And Don Haskins in his 28th year looks on. Won his first ball game on a road trip in 1961 to Iowa State. And the leading scorer for his team, as the foul is called underneath, was Nolan Richardson, now the head coach at Arkansas. There's Jadlow's air cast, Tom.
You know, surprisingly, he is able to get shots off on the inside because of his, he establishes position. Because of that angle, he cannot go over the top of people, but he beats them in their minds. As he gets the ball, he shoots pretty quickly so that the defender, he takes the reaction time away from the defender. So the leaping ability is not so important. Plus the fact the ball gets delivered so quickly to him when he's open.
70-47. 10-19 to go. McCall is back in the lineup now for UTEP. That's Mark McCall with the shot that Jay Edwards takes down. And we're nearing the midway point of half number 2. Hillman from the corner. He's got 10 now.
All those shots are flowing from the outside for Indiana and have been since the very early part of the game. And they have challenged this man like right here. They got a hand in his face. Maybe that's what he needs, a target to get over.
Indiana is 5 of 6 on three-pointers in this half.
UTEP is 1 of 2. 1 of 12.
That's what I thought. See, 1 of 2.
1 of 2.
But it was really 1 of 12.
Well, I took a shot.
That's why I hushed up.
I took a shot at it.
Because I couldn't understand those hieroglyphics I was being handed.
Well, we all make mistakes.
Here's Hardaway. Now they're 2 of their last 2. Both of us can figure that out. And the lead is 20 at 73-53. 9:22 to go.
He's a very streaky outside shooter, Hardaway, and when he gets it going, he can knock in 3 or 4 in a row, as we saw against LSU.
Anderson peeks inside, then settles on a pass to Jones. Hillman. Anderson.
I'll tell you, he has the defenders mesmerized right now. They don't know whether to go up and challenge him, stay on the floor, what?
He's got 20. Hardaway. And Hillman gets the rebound. 8:40 to go. Indiana appears on its way to a date with Seton Hall in Denver on Thursday night. Arizona UNLV will also be there. Edwards up. Oh, great pass.
Edwards knows that the defenses concentrate on him, and when they all watched him, he just saw Hillman, but nobody's attention on him, uncover wide open underneath.
Here's Edwards and Jones. Intentional foul on Prince Stewart. So that'll be 2 plus the ball. Take a look at the East and West regionals now. On Friday, Georgetown matches up with NC State, and Minnesota takes on Duke. Those 2 games to be played in East Rutherford, New Jersey on Thursday evening, while in Denver on Thursday, Arizona will meet UNLV, and Seton Hall meets the winner of this game. And it would appear now with 8:09 to go, it's going to be Indiana, barring a terrific come from behind. And on the deliberate foul, Lyndon Jones sinks the first.
You know, that Georgetown-NC State game is an intriguing situation. Georgetown uses that trapping pressure defense, although it seems to me, the little I've seen of the other games in the different regions, that they have not been able to truly use that as much as they normally use it. But NC State has 2 guards, Monroe and Corciani, that are terrific at breaking pressure defense.
Edwards doesn't use the pick from Jadlow. Jadlow, Edwards, Anderson, Hillman, and Lyndon Jones on the floor for Indiana. Loose ball saved by Hillman, and then saved by Edwards. That's a 3. Antonio Davis for UTEP, and it's saved by Hardaway. Greg Foster gets a couple. 79-55. 7:25 to go. Jadlow. Offensive foul.
A little hooking going on the baseline.
4.5 minutes remaining in North Carolina on top of UCLA by 1. Syracuse, Colorado State in Dallas. That's a 10-point edge, 52-42. Earlier today, Georgetown beat Notre Dame. Strong second half. And in double overtime, Rodney Monroe led North Carolina State to a 6-point victory. South Alabama fell to Michigan. And Hardaway gets 2 more. He's now got 20 for the game. And an injury time as Antonio Davis got poked in the left eye.
Number 42, Bree Smith.
Bree Smith comes back on now for Indiana, and Jay Edwards will head to the bench. Final score, Missouri beats Texas 108-89. And Seton Hall under P.J. Carlesimo outlast Evansville here in Tucson. And they will face the winner of this game Thursday in Denver. Jay Edwards on the bench now with 17 points. And 7 minutes remaining.
Bobby Knight's bench has seen lots of activity in this tournament so far. And that is always helpful when you get down to the next rounds. How powerful is your bench when some of your guys like Jadlow and Anderson might get in trouble, or Jay Edwards.
Jamal Meeks comes on and replaces Lyndon Jones. So Bobby is starting to pull his starters now with 6:50 to go in the ballgame. Well, they were up to George Mason by 30, and then George Mason made a run in the last 10 minutes. So the final was only a 15-point victory, and typically Knight was upset.
Yeah, and he was talking to his players on that third unit that he was really using. And that's the way you're supposed to do it. You know, he's getting a little heated with a couple of them that you didn't do this or didn't do that. And everybody here was saying, why is he yelling at that poor kid? But that's how a third stringer really learns. The coach has a feeling that the coach is concerned about what he's doing.
Bree Smith for the Indiana Hoosiers, and Stewart misfires on the UTEP end. There's Eric Anderson. 6:17 to go. 82-57. Foster double team. Finds a man underneath. Johnny Melvin.
That was a good look, but they never did attack him from down on top. That's where he's been having troubles.
And we're 6 minutes away from a decision. 82-59. A final decision. Francis Ezenwa gets the ball down for UTEP. Indiana led by 14 at the half, hit 8 of its first 9 shots in the second half, got the lead up to 26, and it's been no contest since then. 5:33 to go. Underneath, Jadlow hacked. That'll be it for Greg Foster. He has just fouled out of the game. That's 5 on Foster, the junior from UCLA. Oh, I beg your pardon. This is Johnny Melvin on the foul. My error. So Foster stays in. Missouri beat Texas. They advance to the round of 16. They will meet either Syracuse or Colorado State. That game being played right now. They advance to Minneapolis, and it looks like Syracuse will win that. And in Minneapolis, they will join Illinois and Louisville. And those games will be played Friday and Sunday.
Illinois and Louisville, that's going to be an interesting game.
Primetime specials, the regional semifinals, both Thursday and Friday nights on CBS. Now Brian Sloan back into the lineup for the Hoosiers of Indiana. And it appears to be all over for the Miners of UTEP. This will not be a day in which Don Haskins gets a technical foul.
He may just cancel Bobby Knight's next fishing trip.
That's right. At the other end, 5:08 to go. Traveling. Haskins and Knight first hooked up at the Olympic trials in 1972 when Don was working for his former coach, Hank Iba. Knight was one of the scout team coaches, and inexplicably almost, they became very fast friends. They're just such different personalities. We're under 5 minutes now, 20-point lead.
Well, I happened to be at that tryout, and Bobby Knight was coaching one of the squads. You know, have an East-West, North-South squad, and that's how they go about picking the Olympic team. And Knight was coaching one of those teams, and he had a referee's jersey underneath his shirt, and he got a little dismayed with some of the officials, ran out, unbuttoned his regular shirt to expose the referee's shirt, and made a big stink about some things. And Hank Iba told Don Haskins, hey, look, go take that young fella under your wing, will you? And I guess Haskins has been doing it ever since.
2 minutes remaining in that North Carolina-UCLA game. Syracuse on top by 14. Our score 83-63. There's Haskins. When he was coaching the Headley Owls boys and girls teams in 1958, he set a record for technical fouls in Texas that still stands. He was coaching the girls team, got upset with an official, and charged from his bench to the end of the court. The official said, I'm going to charge you a technical for every step it takes you to get back to the bench. Haskins said when he got to 13, he knew he was in trouble, and he slid to the bench. He still got charged with 16.
Now, drive the excitement of Pontiac Grand Prix and get a mega value. Get $1,000 cash back direct from Pontiac, or GMAC financing as low as 4.9%. And if you're a qualified first-time buyer, another $600 cash back. That's up to $1,600 cash back, or 4.9% GMAC financing. See your local Pontiac dealer for details.
We build excitement. Got your cotton, your Polly's got your permanent press. Got the right beer now to get us through this mess. Having some fun while it's going around. The silver bullet won't slow you down. So come on into Coors Light. It's the right beer now.
When you're having fun, the last thing you want to do is slow it down. So come on into Coors Light, the great light beer for a good long time.
It's the right beer now.
Can I buy it, Dad?
Your own car? Aren't you a little young?
Oh, just wait till you see how it handles.
You could be asking for trouble with a used car.
But it's in mint condition.
I'm still not sure it's worth it.
But, Dad, it's got a brand new set of Michelins.
Michelin's? Look, I've made a decision. Let's ask your mother.
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Seton Hall had to fight off a game Evansville team that came from 19 down to within 1 late, but they did win it. And they will meet Indiana on Thursday night, and this is a fascinating matchup between the number 2 and the number 3 seeds in the West, Tom.
I would say that Seton Hall will definitely need Ramon Ramos in this encounter. They got away without really needing his services today, as Darrell Walker picked up the slack. Bobby Knight his teams are so fundamentally sound. You really have to know what you're doing, how to beat his defense. And I think sometimes the Seton Hall guards get a little carried away with their own games.
Mark McCall gets those 2. 4 minutes to go, and the lead is 20 at 85-65. Joe Hillman and Cree Smith, number 42. This is a very, very experienced Indiana team. 6 5-year seniors on the squad. 6 of them. And yet they have the talent of guys like Anderson, Jamal Meeks, who is in the lineup now, number 23, and of course Edwards and Jones, the 2 sophomores. Plus talent coming in. And there's Meeks with the steal, number 23. They'll bring it out and work on the clock.
And they let Hillman, who starts as a forward with this group, become the point guard, so that everybody can be included into the offense.
Joe Hillman, of course, the 5th-year senior, occupying a leadership role previously held by Steve Alford, Quinn Buckner. Knight was asked to compare the 3 of them. He said the only natural leader he's had at Indiana was Quinn Buckner, the one guy to whom he never had to say, you've got to take charge. He said Buckner took charge from the minute he stepped on the court.
Well, Buckner was a football player in the first practice that he went to. He said, you win for so-and-so, Bobby Knight said.
John Campster.
John Campster, and Buckner walked in, and he said, okay, who's John Campster?
So whoever you are, I'm in for you.
I'm in for you, and I'm running his team.
Anderson with 24. That equals his career high. And the rebound comes down in the hands of Johnny Melvin, or Mark McCall, rather. Hillman has it.
But Hillman's an academic All-American, too. Baseball player.
Came back and didn't join the team until after November 1st. They'd worked out for a couple of weeks, and he decided to come back for his 5th year. Mother said, Mark, Joe, why do you want to come back? The team's not going to be any good. You're going to be the senior. You're going to catch all the grief. Well, it's become a pretty good team. And instead of grief, Joe Hillman is getting a lot of the accolades. 2 minutes to go. Shot clock at 13, and they'll eat as much off of it as they possibly can. Bobby Knight getting ready to clear the bench. And Foster gets the rebound, quickly sends it out to Johnny Melvin. Bree Smith, that's an intentional foul. Ooh.
Not a good call there, but I think it's one of those where they called 2 against UTEP, so we might as well call 1 against Indiana.
That's Dan Chrisman who called that a deliberate foul.
Oh, you're right, Bobby.
That's a shocker. So now Hillman is out, Bree Smith is out, Jadlow's on the bench, Anderson, Brian Sloan, and some of the youngsters come in. Magnus Pelkowski is in the lineup, Mike Delizio, and at the line, Johnny Melvin shoots a couple. So Indiana will take on Seton Hall next Thursday night on CBS from Denver. Melvin gets the first. Under 1 minute remaining as North Carolina holds off UCLA by 3.
Tell you, that's going to test the moral fiber if North Carolina to lose of every Tar Heel fan as to why did he do that. Well, it appears that it may be a moot point.
And for UTEP, the season will come to an end with a 26-7 record. And here's the then freshman David Van Dyke. Johnny Melvin. 1:40 to go in the ball game. Mark Robinson with a loose ball. Hoosiers jumped out 7-0. They extended the lead to 20-9 after UTEP had gotten to within 2 at 10-8. Indiana led by 14 at the half, and then to compound UTEP's difficulties, they hit 8 of their first 9 second-half shots.
You know, one of the things that if you're going to play Indiana, you have to do is have great composure in the beginning of the ball game and work the ball around to find out what type of defense they're going to use. In this ball game, it appeared that Bobby Knight immediately was going to double down on the inside game that he thought Haskins would go to. Your players have to recognize what Bobby Knight thinks is the strength of your team, and then whatever you have to do to uncover that strength, you have to do. And I don't think UTEP, they ended up with question marks in their eyes in the early part of the game instead of making it, devouring the defense as it was presented to them.
Follow shot by Magnus Pelkowski runs the count to 89-67. At the other end, McCall pulls up and takes the jumper and hits it.
I think about playing Bobby Knight's team. I tell my guys, we don't take anything without 5 or 6 passes unless it's an absolute layup and a breakaway in the first 3 minutes of the game. Just to get the thing in gear and get a rhythm and see where they're going with their defense.
Pelkowski hits a three-pointer, 92-69. Final shot doesn't fall. And Bobby Knight's Indiana Hoosiers advance to meet Seton Hall. Don Haskins and Bob Knight shake hands at center court. Old and dear friends. And UTEP winds up the season with a 26-7 record. Indiana goes to 27-7 as they win it easily. So Indiana and Seton Hall tangle on Thursday evening. And that really should be a very fascinating matchup with the number 2 and number 3 seeds advancing.
Well, I would say that Seton Hall's guards are going to have to really be in total control. Don't get excited unless you get a layup. Find where the best advantage is in the Indiana defense.
Eric Anderson with a career high equaling 24 points. Jay Edwards had 17. Todd Jadlow tossed in 14. Joe Hillman with 12. And the Pacers win it easily, 92-69. Right now, back to Jim Nance in New York.
Be seen next week.
Next from CBS Sports, the NCAA Basketball Championship continues.
The ball is tipped. You give a touch tonight. The rhythm's in your shot. And your step is light. The crowd goes wild. This much is known. Win another game. You be almost home. To that one shining moment. You reach for the sky. One shining moment. You knew.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jim Nance. Welcome to our CBS Sports continuing coverage of the 1989 NCAA Championship Tournament. Tonight, the regional semifinals. In just a few moments, we'll be sending you out to Denver, where second seed Indiana is getting set to meet number 3 seed Seton Hall in a West Regional semifinal. Then in our doubleheader game, most of you will see Michigan face North Carolina in a Southeast semifinal from Lexington. That should conclude in time for us to catch the live finish of the UNLV-Arizona matchup, also in the West Regional. One game already in progress involves Oklahoma, the top seed in the Southeast, and the Sooners, with 9 minutes to go in the first half, down by 2 against the Cavaliers. However, 16 teams are still alive as the road to the Final Four continues on CBS from Denver in just a moment.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. John Hancock Financial Services, real light, real answers. And by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet.
If you run your own business, you've got to watch every dollar.
Well, I'm glad you like our figures. Any other questions?
How far will your business get on a dollar's worth of AT&T?
On the 21st, we can do that. Sure, we can do that.
Not as far as it'll go on U.S. Sprint.
We got it. That's terrific.
Get up to 10 to 17% more out of each and every dollar with our 100% fiber optic watch lines for your business. Call Sprint now and talk with the best.
Honey, I think it's time we got a new set of Michelins.
Couldn't we save a little on a cheaper brand?
Well, our last set of Michelins got over 60,000 miles.
We've got to watch every penny now that Becky's going away to college.
Yeah, but, you know, there's one thing more important than putting Becky through college.
What's that?
Making sure she gets there.
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
No bull. Bull, Worldwide Information Systems.
Blazing a trail through Logan Pass, Montana, and the great taste of Old